According to Ukraine's military intelligence, a simple blood test could help determine which patients are at risk of developing long COVID, according to a new study.
Researchers reported in the journal Menopause on Wednesday that higher levels of leukocytes, a type of white blood cell, were linked to more severe long COVID symptoms among older women.
A federal judge sentenced a tearful former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez to 11 years in prison on charges after he was found guilty of leveraging his political power in exchange for bribes, including gold bars, a luxury car, and other valuables. Kyle Norris reports.
You stood at the apex of our political system, Judge Sidney Stein said while delivering the sentence.
Billie Eilish, Katy Perry, and Lady Gaga were among the artists who took the stage at the Fire Aid benefit concert on Thursday to support those impacted by the Southern California wildfires.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact.
Jesus, not another
Independent
show.
fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
But, yeah, I am where I was. I was there. But now I'm not here. You know. That's it. That's it. A lot.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Yeah, for the people over there on Instagram. That's how you miss the news. Oh, what?
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Does that ever work? Notice that. I'm like Steve Bannon, wearing so many layers. Because I'm old and cold. Old and cold. Not cold. Yeah, that's it. I'm out of run. Cold. Gang. Wonder stop. Is it? No. Is it going to start up again? Oh, it ended on its own. Good morning, folks. It is Friday. That's a good thing. Friday, January 31st, 2025. The last day of the worst month in the history of months. And I'm glad to see it go. But the problem is another terrible month starts tomorrow. It's just we're waiting for doom. We're just waiting for catastrophe. We are in a countdown to Armageddon, and it's no fun. Am I bringing you good cheer on a Friday morning? Well, look at it this way. Couple of hours and you'll be out of work and I don't mean out of work without a job, but you'll be off for a couple of days. How about that? And you get to I don't know what you do on the weekends. Probably no football this weekend, right? There's no playoffs. We're done with that until the stupid ball. I don't know. Get a hobby. Today, Jackie, the joke man, Martling, is supposed to be with us, like now. I think he's lost. Or going from his bedroom to the Jokeland studio, which is probably about 200 feet away. Probably got lost. You know, it happens to old people. And in the second hour, we have Ken Peters, who is an author of The Seed Sanctuary. You know, seed. You know, it's not my place to make jokes about seeds. That's what we have the other guys for. I just want to comment briefly on this whole crash thing and the waste of life, fat, blubber, blowhard we have for a president, calling this, blaming it on DEI. I wish he would DIE. But it turns out the pilot of the American Airlines jet was an immigrant from India. Now, here's the thing. Just last week, they were pushing for more immigrants from India because they're supposedly so smart. These are the immigrants they want, is the ones who basically invented math. I don't know. Did they invent math? I could be wrong about that. But these are the immigrants that they were pushing for this. And these are really smart people. These are the people we want, the thinkers, the brainiacs. Let's get them here. And now all of a sudden, that's a DEI hire. The pilot. Now, it wasn't the jet's fault, from what I can see. It looks, if I didn't know any better, and I don't know any better, but it looks like the helicopter just like made a beeline, like it was intentional. If you watch the film or the video, no film, we don't have film anymore. It looks intentional. It looks like a terrorist attack. Will he own that? No, he doesn't own anything. Nothing is ever his fault. But the other part of this is, it's just like we are just so quick in a tragedy to just try to, how can we use this to our benefit without thinking about the people, or kids, I don't know, figure skaters or something. Where the fuck, what is wrong with people? What happened to empathy? Nobody cares about anybody but, or anything but the team. Go team, go, rah, rah, rah. It's a sports mentality. Anyway, hopefully Jackie doesn't get involved in any downer shit, which is why I love him. And just for clarification, in case you are like one of these dopey hamburger people or cheeseburger people, Jackie does not do this show for the benefit of his career. If anything, this would be damaging to his career. Jackie has at 76 years old, he has a very lucrative and promising career, better than most comedians I know, far younger, far more vibrant, full of life. But at 76, he's doing stuff that most comedians would love to do. This would be the highlight of their life. He doesn't do this show for himself. He does it for me because he's a friend, and he helps. He's trying to help me. Like, I can't really be helped, but so that's the reason he's doing this. This is not like his career is not fallen or dropped to the place where he has to do this show for his career. He does it for a few laughs. He likes making me laugh because he knows, like most people, most comedians, most people who are in comedy, they like to make people laugh. And when they find somebody who laughs at their jokes, they like to tell them their jokes. So that's why he's here. Well, he's not here, but that's why he might be here any minute. I know he remembers about it because he just texted me yesterday. Anyway, I got to take some Mind Bloom or something and just chill out. And then I'll be back with some guys who I can't make laugh, and they don't make me laugh. We just sit here and insult each other for 2.5 hours every morning.
Mind Bloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people to receive.
I'm all mind bloomed up. Good morning, folks. In the room with me now are Ron. My purpose here is to call Matt the Monopoly guy, Kane, and Stephen. I got kids.
Good morning, cucks.
Oh. And GD, I'm trying to sell shit that I don't even take the money from. Fenderson. Good morning.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Do you need a safe place to spread your seed? Try the Seed Sanctuary. No more tissues. No more socks. No more crack whores. Put your seed in a safe and sanitary place. The Seed Sanctuary. It comes in many colors. It comes in many sizes, and it comes in handy. MindDogTV.com.
Comes in hand.
Handy. MindDogTV.com. Enjoy the suffering and support your local mercenaries.
Comes in hand. I've never come in my hand.
Lies.
No, I never have.
You never came in your hand?
Never come in my hand. But you brought me back to Thank you. When I was 9 years old, a friend of mine, a very close friend, went from public school to Catholic school. And he came home very first day of school, and he said the priest gave us a lecture about masturbating. And 9 years old, the priest giving boys a lecture about masturbating. And he said, God, it's a sin because when you masturbate, you're dropping your seed on the ground, and God frowns on that. And this is 9 years old. So when you talked about the seed, it just brought me back to that.
Finish inside me.
Right. No.
Don't get any on the floor, man. Don't get any on the floor. Just
that was the priest. That was what the priest said to the kids. Yeah. Don't get it on the floor. Finish inside me.
You do it in another priest is what he meant.
Yep. Or the altar boy.
Altar boy.
But I mean, that is the teachings of Jesus, right? Do not waste.
No, I think it was come unto others.
I don't think that's.
I think the church says. Communion goes in your mouth.
Let me just say, I don't think they'll do not waste things, because I was watching The Chosen the other night, and here's the thing: they're sitting around, and this woman just comes in, and she starts anointing Jesus's feet. And Judas stands up and he starts complaining about she's wasting it. You could be giving that precious oil, selling that precious oil, and giving the money to the poor. And Jesus told him to shut the hell up.
He's probably getting a hand job. I mean, would you want some guy coming in like, oh, you can't do this thing, bro? I'm trying to come here.
I agree with you.
Cockblocker.
So I don't think that's the teaching of Jesus is do not waste. If it's on me, go ahead, waste all you want.
That's what I call schlong division.
Oh, well, that's okay. In other news, I booked my first headlining gig.
Wow.
Great. Yeah.
And where is it? When is it? Who is it? What the details?
It is let's see here.
You don't know?
No, I have it right here. It's April 18th in Bedford, Indiana at the Rusty Gator.
Well, let me just tell you something. If it's a big first for you, I'm assuming it's a big first for you. It should be right on the top of your head, tip of your tongue, head of your dick, whatever. You shouldn't have to say, well, let's see here.
Well, no, I wanted to make sure I got it right the first time.
Oh, all right. Fine, fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you got it right, or you want to check? You want to double check your notes?
Nope, I'm right. April 18th, Rusty Gator, Bedford, Indiana.
All right.
If
now,
you want to record it, I'll have Matt come out and record it. He got some really nice equipment.
Cool.
Now, do they have a ramp, or are you going to be on the stage? Or are you going to be on the floor again to the side?
I've been there before. I've been there before. They don't have a stage. They just have a performance area. So
do they have strong guys to lift you? Oh, they don't have a stage.
There's no stage. It's just a performance area. So yeah. But they've remodeled the place, and they want to have monthly comedy and other live things. So,
are you guys in touch with Jackie? You know why he's lost here? He's not, because generally he would be here early. Like if I tell him to be here at 9:15, he's here at 9 o'clock, and it's almost 9:15 now. He's got 30 seconds to show up on time.
Has anybody?
His hands were soft and supple.
Have you checked his life alert bracelet? Maybe he needs help.
You know, I don't know.
I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Maybe. But hey, you saw what I ran into on the show Friday. That's why the other crippled guy freaks out on the clubs when he can't get on the stage.
The other crippled guy?
Yeah, the guy that ignores me on Twitter.
Oh,
yeah.
Who was it? That was Joe Urell, right?
That's
Joe, he's not really, cripple is not really what he is.
Whatever.
He's got cerebral palsy, right?
Excuse me, may I
cerebral
address?
palsy is just a brand name cripple, is all that is. That's all that is.
Wow.
My back was just broken at birth. I don't have a name for mine. He's just got one of the brand names. He's got one that gets a foundation.
No, GD wants to insult me, and you cut him off.
No, I don't want to insult you. Mr. John Bivens has been pushing himself to be on the show.
I told him yesterday to go to the booking thing. He didn't book.
Right, and I also sent him an Instagram message, okay, giving him instructions on how to do it. So, John, if you're not bright enough to follow that, you're not bright enough to be on the show. Okay?
No, that's not true. We've had plenty of people not bright enough to be on the show.
Yeah. Are you a retard?
Yes, we all are. Anyway, I think John is the guy behind the Jelly Roll thing on Facebook. I'm not sure about that, but I think he's behind the Jelly Roll. Well, not like behind
he builds that Jelly Roll. That's what he does.
I see Carl Mann is there. Look at Carl Mann is there. Say hello to Carl Mann over there.
Hello,
Hi,
Carl Mann.
You're still alive. Yay. You haven't been murdered in your sleep.
Christ, did a cow shit in here?
What?
Indeed.
No, that's just the way England smells.
Body odor and bad teeth.
Body odor, bad teeth, and crumpets.
You guys talk amongst yourselves while I say, Jackie, where are you?
That's the smell of bubble and squeak.
Carl, man, I lost 7 pounds of neurovirus. My goodness, man, you must look like still kind of a fat guy from England, but 7 pounds is a good start. So
it's one testicle.
You got to start somewhere.
Come to
That's a
Minucci's.
handsome shit for me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, maybe I will. You just played the for people on the radio. We're going to talk about Minucci's if you want to just cover your ears for a minute. Is Minucci's the place in Pennsylvania where there were murders going on? Is that what I gathered from this text yesterday? And I was oblivious to this fact the whole time they eat it.
They don't call it murder. They call it
Dahmerism.
They call it food prep.
Yeah.
But
it's just a couple of the brothers at Minucci's had a mutilation of a corpse charges. I mean, that's common. That's common stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's not murder if they were already dead when they found them.
It's all good. It's all good. Listen, me and Jeffrey Dahmer go way back, but I did not know that the thing is I was oblivious to this fact the whole time we were doing the Eat at Minucci's, and now it has a whole new meaning to me.
And what did Jackie say when you called him?
2 weeks.
I didn't call him. I just
2 weeks. 2 weeks. You sound like a parakeet.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That did sound like Jackie. Well, we have Jackie samplings. We have a Jackie sampler.
No, that is from the Money Pit.
2 weeks.
Oh, I love that movie.
2 weeks. You sound like a parakeet.
Sounds like from the first Trump administration. Now, he hasn't uttered the word 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks since he's been.
He utters it in his sleep. TOOWEAKS. He's just 2 weeks to be president. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just remember, if things don't go well today, we just blame our DEI hire GD over there.
Hey, you thought that
Stephen was a DEI hire. No,
I will crash this show like a Black Hawk going into a jet liner. Don't you
come on, that's not funny. It's too soon. Tomorrow, tell that.
I waited 2 days.
Well, tomorrow. I think you have to wait 3 days for it to rise again.
Rise up, stroke down.
Well, you hear
That's
that?
right.
You hear
Thank
that
you.
interference? That usually means I'm getting a text from Jackie. Usually when I hear that click, 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 that's what it means. I'm getting a text from Jackie, but it didn't happen.
I thought that was Morse code from Jackie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's what the phone he has is the Morse 101 or something. Morse 1.1. Yeah, I don't know. You guys happy to see this January going, or you just it's just another day?
Yeah, I'm glad it's about over.
It felt like New Year's was 2 years ago. That's what it feels like. I'm not happy with January. Worst January ever. But now we have
January was pretty bad.
Yesterday, here's the thing. You guys remember I used to be with a band called the Rockin' 45s. You remember that?
Oh yeah, way back when.
Way back when, yeah. And I quit the band.
Back when you had hair. right?
No, I never had hair.
Was it because of those pesky charges they kept coming back?
Yeah, yeah, it's happening again. But
I heard
Jackie's
it.
not texting me. So one of the places they play like every 2 weeks, the owner called me up yesterday. I need to tell you, I hate the band without you. That was the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. I hate the band without you. But she asked if I'm playing and what I'm doing. I said, yeah, I'm doing some solo shows, occasional duo shows. And she said, oh, duo with who? And I named a couple of the ladies I've done duos with, and she asked me to book one of those for Valentine's Day. And all three of them are booked up. They already have other plans. Obviously, just about anybody who has a life or is doing something on Valentine's Day. So I spent all day trying to get people to do duos. And then I put an ad on Craigslist looking for a sub singer.
Yeah, you did. A sub singer. Oh, yeah.
A sub singer, right. Oh, Jackie
must be able to power bottom.
Right. But I put in the ad exactly that. I'm not looking for a date. This is not, and no guys, because the gig is for a girl. It's a male and female duo, and I think I still have the male part covered. I'm not really sure on that.
Your lack of testicles doesn't mean you can't be the man.
And between the ages of 25 and 30, and must be smooth. Must be smooth.
Got a fucking hair.
And tattoos above the neck are a turn off.
Yeah. So all I got were dudes answering the ad. Like, come on, it said no dudes.
Did any of them sound like a chick?
No, but I got this one.
Are you reading the call? Are you reading Call Man's comment?
No, you know the David Bowie song where you got your mother in a world, you're not sure if you're a boy or a girl.
Rebel.
Yeah, but that line.
Was it Gene Genie?
I got a. I think it's Rebel.
You got a they them.
But yeah, that line struck me when they sent a video. I'm like, I'm not sure what. I think I asked for a guy, for a girl, no guys. But I'm not sure if this is a guy or a girl. But it's a young person. I said right in the ad for a restaurant lounge duo gig, and it's just the screamo rapping like hard. I'm like, what the fuck? You think people want to hear that in a restaurant while they're eating, screaming at them and rapping obscenities and all this stuff? This is not for a restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Matt, if you're desperate, I will go and drag. I can tape my beard down.
That's why I brought it up.
I'll take my beard down so no one knows that I'm a man, and I'll sing for you.
Jackie's having problems. He said the thing's taking him in circles. I don't know. I just gave him a regular link, like we always give him.
If he's trying to go through the app, it's going to ask him to log in through YouTube.
What do you mean?
Like if you have the StreamYard app, if you try to join as a guest, it tries to make you verify through YouTube.
He's not app. What are you talking about? Who app is Snap. What are you talking about? I gave him a link.
I know, but if he downloaded the StreamYard app, which I hope I don't see why he would, but some people have. I know I have tried.
He does other shows, so he may need it for other shows.
Why would you download a StreamYard app? Why would you do that? Why would anybody do that?
Functionality.
Because they need it for other shows.
I think Jackie even knows what an app is.
That's also probably true. So
that could be how we got it.
Do you have the best president for black people one still?
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I can't drive all the way to Oyster Bay to get him logged on. I'm really concerned about this.
I have been the best president for the black population.
Whoa!
What a moron! What a moron!
You guys, none of you guys have Jackie's number. You can't help him out while I'm trying to.
I don't have his number.
I have it, but I'm not sure he'll listen to me. I'll just put it in the chat room. I'll put it in the chat, and then somebody can call him and talk him through it.
Oh, you know what? He might actually like that lonely fucker. I don't ever answer a number that I don't know. I don't recognize the number. If it comes up and there's not a name to it, a name that I recognize, I'm not answering it.
Well, I'm in his phone, and he hasn't answered my last 2 attempts to reach him, so I'm not going to try a third time.
Have you? Well, you might have to try because he might answer 3 out of 5.
3/5 of my calls.
Yeah.
Well, he's already ignored the first 2. Then he has to pick up the next 3.
Let's ask him to connect with YouTube. I
told you.
But he doesn't have it. He don't have no fucking app. What is asking me to connect?
But it's
How do you know he doesn't have an app? You don't know what's on his computer or phone or laptop or desktop.
Because I know he can't even spell app.
Doesn't mean it didn't occur on there by accident. He could have clicked on it and downloaded it or something. Don't know.
Well, because like if you're on your phone on the iPhone and you go to StreamYard, it'll pop up a little thing at the top that will say open the StreamYard app. It'll either say get or open. If you click get, it'll open up the store and download it.
So what's the solution?
Go to Oyster Bay and you check out what he's got. No, that's the solution. You go there yourself and see what's going on. Be a friend.
On the next edition of Boomer Corner, we'll discuss why toasters now have 4 slices.
What has 4 slices?
Oh, what the fuck the reason is that for?
Some of them have 5. You seen a 5 slice toaster? Yeah.
Finish inside me.
He might either actually have to log in with YouTube or
he said keep trying that. That's not working. All right, you guys talk amongst yourself. I will try. I'll give you a subject. Why is Trump not dead yet? Okay, let me.
Because he's got the body of a bison and he's just hard to take down.
No, because the thing that should kill him, the things that would kill ordinary people, like stress and poor diet, he has an outlet. See, what good people do is good people don't let their rage out. And a lot of times it just turns inward and turns to cancer and turns to ulcers, because they don't want to push their anger out on the world. But then there's people like Trump, and they just let it out. So anything that will grow into a cancer just spews out his mouth and hits us. Anything that will grow into an ulcer spews out his mouth and hits us. And so we are the ones that get sick, and he stays healthy because he has a constant ventilation system.
Is this why good people always get cancer and bad people seem to live forever?
That's my theory.
That's not true.
I'm sorry, that's my hypothesis.
That's not true. Good people.
That's my corollary.
If bad people never got cancer, why?
I didn't say never.
Oh,
yeah, maybe bad people get cancer.
Listen, it's not all about you. Steven did. Oh, I didn't say. Well, Steven said. I was talking to him. It's not all about you, okay?
Well, no, I said it seems like.
Oh, seems
because it seems like, yeah, it's because obviously not all. It's like obviously some bad people get cancer and a lot of good people don't get cancer. But it seems like more often than not, it's the good person that seems to get the unbeatable cancers that that suck.
But also, we'll miss the good people. We'll miss the good people. We don't miss the bad people. So when the good people have it, it's like, oh, what a shame. When the bad people get it, it's like, good for them. No. It's not an all or nothing thing. It's like Billy Joe ruined it by saying only the good die young, and now that's gospel. And only the good don't die young. It's other people die young as well. It's just that we miss the good when they die young.
Shitty people die young?
Sometimes.
Shitty people die all the time, just not fast enough.
All right, that's the new song.
Look how long it took OJ to die.
There is, I've seen this story. It says a survey finds that Americans are spending money on the Super Bowl because of Taylor Swift. My God.
What do you mean? She playing?
I wonder how many big burly football fans are fucking crying into their fucking jerseys right now.
Now the real crying will start at halftime since Kendrick is the halftime performer.
Oh boy!
Is he going to be performing with his the guy that he's been beefing with, so they can have like this big?
I don't think he's going to perform with him, but he's probably going to call Drake a pedophile in front of like 100 million people. Is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We have breaking news. Breaking news: Jackie says he did download the app long ago, but he deleted it.
He thinks he deleted it. You never get it off your phone or
2
your
weeks.
computer. It's always
2
there.
weeks. 2 weeks.
So,
You sound
so
like
we're
a
probably
parakeet.
not going to have Jackie today, and then he's just going to be yelling at me for eternity until one of us dies.
Well, Jackie, you're welcome to come on tomorrow. Matt will open up the shop for tomorrow. Or if you're really desperate, the Reverend has a show on Sunday. You can come on.
No,
or
nobody's at
you
that.
can come on Monday night to talk about controversy.
But whatever you do, don't come in your hand.
Right.
How did that start, the come in your hand thing?
We probably started with the caveman, like hundreds of thousands of years ago, or tens of thousands of years ago. We started with the caveman.
I came.
Did you hear that? Right after.
Did your wife have to cover her ears every time you do that?
Hold on.
Just cover her ears and brace against the wall.
Shut up! I just like yelling. No, I probably woke my wife up because I yelled at you, and it's all your fault. My wife is awake now.
That's fine.
Fucking.
You got to deal with it, not me.
All right, Steven, you know who Rick Dees is?
Rick Dees.
Yes.
From the Weekly Top 40.
Kinda.
That's the only thing I know him from. Yeah.
All right. See, Ron shook his head like he didn't know. Ron is not old enough to know who Rick Dees is. Listen.
No, I know that talented hack.
Rick Dees, one time he was going to have our friend Jackie on his program, and he said to me, he called me up. He said, I don't know what to call Jackie. I said, why don't you call him the song and dance man? He said, but he doesn't sing and dance. I said, well, I don't know what else you could call him. Like, it's like, what could we possibly call him? It's like, what does he do? And he said, well, he tells jokes. He go, how about we call him the joke man? I said, that'll never work. And here he is now, the joke man. Say good morning to the joke man. Good morning, joke man, who can't download apps and get on. He doesn't hear us.
That was the lamest thing I ever heard.
I know.
What are you doing?
You don't think I know that? What are you doing? You're looking down. Are you coming in your hand?
I'm sending you something.
Oh, you send it.
I can't.
But he has to get it in his hand first.
It's a picture. It's a picture.
I can't even do this.
Now, Jackie,
I can't
you don't
even
know
do this.
These my friends up above. Well, I call them friends. They're here to insult me, really. They were performing on Long Island last week, and you weren't there, and it's very sad. Did you know that? Did you know they were at Governor's in the Giggle Snatch? I'm in Giggle Room.
Who was? I don't know.
All three of these guys. All three.
How would I know that? How would I?
I think I told you that. I'm certain I told you that they were coming there, but I didn't expect you to be there. I'm just busting balls here. But
I was there. I saw GD the other night there.
That was on the Monday before.
Right.
Oh.
And I hope I didn't squeeze you too hard. I was just excited to see you, to see anybody who I knew before that place. I didn't know anybody there except for you.
Right.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah, it is. What is new with you? What's going on with you?
I spent the entire night coughing. The entire night. So I'm slow getting started here.
Oh, look at Rick Dees. You said, oh, wow. Wow.
Now, when's the last time I talked to you about him?
I don't remember. A long time ago.
Because I haven't heard from him or been in contact with him for probably since 1983.
Wow.
Or 85. But I was on his show. He put me my jokes on his show for a couple of years. And finally, K-Rock made me drop doing that. So I couldn't be on BAB and Rick Dees because I was on K-Rock, which seemed pretty insignificant because what I do, at that time.
Yeah.
But he was really good to me. I went out there and did a few shows at the Universal Amphitheater with Rick and the whole thing. And at first my jokes, they started getting too dirty on 922 Wine. So then I did special jokes just for him and he paid me. and he used to tell the whole world that I was on his weekly top 40 show that played all over the country. What happened was he actually sent out LPs, like discs, to all the different affiliates, like, Chicago, New York, and New Jersey, all the major affiliates. And on Saturday and Sunday, they would play the Rick Dees top 40, and he'd send a bunch of discs, and they would have the top 40 songs of that week, and they'd count down from 40. But in between, every once in a while, they would put my jokes, and it was great for a while. And then K-Rock made me stop. And
Wow.
yeah, and he was the guy who named me Jackie the Joke Man when we first decided. At first, he was stealing the jokes off my joke line, but then they got too dirty, so he asked me to do them for him specifically. So I did, and he said, "Let me, I'll just say you're a crazy guy from a crazy dentist from Encino." And I said, "That doesn't help me." He said, "Let me think about it." And he called me back next day, and he said, "How about this? You're Jackie the Joke Man from New York, the guy that knows all the jokes." I said, "It sounds great." So he named me that. So I didn't hear from him for 40 years. And then a couple of weeks ago, I went on Fox with Jimmy Fallon. And I hate Fox, and I hate Trump, and I hate all of that more and more with every hour. But I guess he was a big fan. He was from Long Island. He's a big fan. And he said, "I really want you to come on the show, the Saturday night show, and we're not going to talk politics. It's just fun." I said, "All right." So I went on the show, and it was really great. They picked me up in a limo and brought me to the city, and we talked about 922 wine for the whole segment. And then the next day, I got an email from Rick Dees for the first time in 40 years.
Wow.
And he said, "Hey, I really loved you on Jimmy Fallon. It was terrific." He said, "We come a long way since." What he used to do is tell his audience that 516-922-9463 was Tom Selleck's home phone number. And I got so many. 922 wine blew up, man. It was so popular. So it's still, it's still going, but at its height, it was, like 15 to 20,000 calls a day. It was insane. And all of a sudden, I hear from him out of a clear blue sky. And I said, "Well, they tried to contact you for my documentary." He said, "Yeah, we thought that was a joke. We didn't know that was the real thing." And I said, "Whatever." And he said, "Boy, we come a long way since giving out that number as Tom Selleck's number." So he rubber stamped the whole thing. So now I know it wasn't a figment of my imagination.
Wow.
And it was just really cool to hear from him, and
yeah.
So
I actually thought about him the other day. I thought I'd try to get him on and discuss the origins of him giving you that moniker. And I was surprised to find out he was still alive, but he's in Florida. I don't know if he's still doing a radio show. Right?
I think he's still very involved in it. I don't know where he is, because I know years and years ago his son had taken over the business, and we're all so old. For all I know, his son is retired. But he's got a beautiful wife still, and he sent me a picture of them. But that's probably from
that picture I just had up of you two guys. You look like you were in junior high school.
Yeah, that's 1983. That's when I first went out to. That's when I went to the Universal Amphitheater, and
I feel terrible to know that I still have the shirt he's wearing in that picture, and I wear it quite often. Now I got to think, well, maybe it's time to update the wardrobe a little bit.
I forgot to show him. Geez, I still have my wake up in the morning with Rick Dees mug somewhere. And he was good to me. We had fun, and I went on there and I plugged I'm going to be in a TV show, right? I don't know how much I've talked to you.
Which TV show is this now?
They came here to shoot a few scenes for this show called The Better Sister, which is based on a book that came out a couple of years ago. And when they came to take a final look at my house to make sure they're going to use it, the showrunner, the writer, came up to me, and she was a really nice woman, like she wasn't a little kid. She was, probably in her 30s or 40s. And she said, "I have to tell you, my whole family is such huge fans. I just had to tell you that. And we're really psyched that we're shooting here." I said, "Oh, that's very good, blah, blah, blah." And then she said, I think I got a part for you in this. And at the time, I didn't know she actually was the writer of the show. And I said, wow. And she said, well, do you do any acting? I said, yeah, I do, but nobody calls, And she said, well, let's see. And she sent me this, I'll send you the sides and see how it works out, see what the casting people say. And she gave me her email, and it was Olivia Milch. And I said, are you any relation to David Milch? That's the guy who created Deadwood.
Yeah.
And NYPD Blue and stuff. And she said, yeah, that's Pop. I said, wow. And I knew he was a big fan because I was on the set of Deadwood 15 years ago. And he came up to me and he actually asked me if I wanted to put on a 6-gun to be in a scene. And I said, no. And to this day, I will never figure how and what planet I was on. I was with people. They didn't want to make that to sit around for hours, but fuck them, Yeah. But I did, but I didn't. And so they sent me the sides and they liked me. And I went in, I had a dressing room and a wardrobe, and I did just 2 scenes, but they're important scenes. And my scene was with Corey Stoll. Do you know who that is?
No.
He was in Billions, and he was in House of Cards. He's a big, bald guy.
It sounds like me.
Big, handsome, bald guy. Really, really good guy. And that's coming up in the spring. So, I'm on IMDb.
What's weird? They you use your house in so many different shows. Eventually, it's going to start to feel like a set, like a typical rented Hollywood. I mean, you see it in so many shows.
No, because when you see it, it's always a different room, and they completely in this. My house is supposed to be on the shore in Montauk, and the bad sister is Elizabeth Banks, and she gets laid in my bedroom.
Oh, nice!
Right.
Okay.
Not by
you,
me, but not by me, and I wasn't in there. But that's the bad news. But the good news. I got a picture of this. I got a picture of these guys somewhere.
You got to keep the sheets. I would keep those sheets.
I was just gonna say, are you keeping the sheets? Because
they're all sniffed out.
Yeah. Steven's family would keep the sheets for a whole other reason. It'd make
totally different reason, and they're probably not the right color. Let's be fair.
But
when you go to the rally, you would smell like her.
But it was exciting, and I'm going to be on TV, which I don't get to say very often, So
yeah. Very cool. You know what? But I'm glad we started there with the radio stuff, and I have to. And I don't want to drag you into something because I know you avoid all this nonsense and the bickering and all this stuff. But you are like Switzerland. You're the only person who was involved in the 90s radio, that golden era of morning radio, who gets along with everybody and doesn't get. Do you follow or even notice all of the crazy bickering and fighting and backbiting that goes on still?
Well, all I know is the last I knew, I'm good friends with Anthony. I haven't been on his show since he went south. I don't mean went south. I mean physically moved down south. But I used to go on his show at the what's he called? The compound.
Yeah.
I was on his show a bunch of times. I was on there with Artie. I was on there. That's how I met my friend Larry Izzo. I went on with Pat Dixon. That's where I met Dave, what's his face, from Detroit. We had a great time. And I've always gone on with Opie. And Opie and Anthony individually were both in my documentary. Yeah. And me and Opie get along great. In fact, I'm supposed to go on the show any day now. And I have no contact with. I'm in contact with Billy West, who I love.
But you're in contact with Opie too. You do Opie's show every once in a while too.
Yeah, right? I just said I'm due to do Opie any minute again, and we always have fun. But
now, wait a second.
No contact at all with Stuttering John. But me and Billy West still email, and Steve Grillo, who's great. You should have him on. He just put out a book, and he's such a great character. Do you know who he is?
Yeah. When you do Opie, do you go to his place in Manhattan, or do you
No, we just Zoom.
All right. Yeah, but it's just like crazy. I mean, it's not just them. it's the worst wannabes who were, I guess, people like me who had like little radio shows on. I was on NYG. If you don't know, that was WBAB AM, and then they sold that part off. But there were guys like me who were semi involved in morning radio. Some of these guys just have the biggest envy hard on that they become involved in this, and they're like internet wars over Opie and Anthony, Howard Stern, all the time, and it never.
What do you mean? What, just fighting among each other?
Yeah, fighting among each other, or taking a side. Like somebody's on Anthony's side, somebody's on Opie's side, somebody's on
Jimmy. Who's paying any attention to that besides you?
Yeah,
who's paying attention to that?
Except when they start bringing it up, and this is the thing: some people follow you. And they follow you and find out you're on this show, and then they start taking shots at this show.
I apologize for that.
No.
Why would I not know that? Wouldn't I?
Because they tag you in it on Twitter and all this, and they tag me in it on Twitter and all this stuff. I know of it because some guest brought it up.
Occasionally, I see on Twitter that that somebody will say something about this, that, or the other thing. And I guess they'll tag me, and I'll see that in the comments, but I don't really respond to it. I very rarely post anything except my gigs, and a lot of times I post my gigs along with some dirty jokes,
right?
Because hoping that people will pass on the filthy jokes, and they'll wind up seeing the. But the other day it was Yogi Berra's birthday or something, and somebody put up something about him, so that's the kind of thing I like. Tag that with a bunch of Yogi expressions that a friend of mine knew that nobody knows, and that got a lot of pass around. But that I don't think that had anything to do with morning radio or anything,
What the Yogi thing? Wasn't that Yogi's son? The thing he did the other day? I thought that was like, I thought it was like a Yogi.
His granddaughter put together the Yogi.
Yogiism
documentary called "It Ain't Over."
Right,
was done by Sony Pictures, which is my friend Tom Bernard, and that is such a great documentary. You don't have to be a baseball fan; it's just a really great documentary. And I went to that, and I met Larry Berra, his son. Yogi's real name was Lawrence,
Yeah.
And Larry Jr. is he's 1,000 years old too now, and I met him, and he's a really nice guy. They're nice people. But I knew a guy who was a video producer on Long Island who did the Yogi video for, I guess, the Hall of Fame. There's a little video next to each plaque. I've been there 50 years. But he did that video, and he also did the Yogi videos for Yogi's website. And in the course of working with him for a couple of weeks, Yogi said a bunch of things that he just said the way he did. He wasn't one of those ones that in the magazines and the papers, the ones that get passed around. He just said them in passing, and he told them to me. I've never forgot him. Did you read him? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He said when Don pitched his perfect game, by the 7th inning, Yankee Stadium was as quiet as a pin.
Quiet as a pin.
And he said, Hank Bauer, he played 16 seasons. I don't know how he did it. He smoked like a fish.
I think Biff from Back to the Future was kind of inspired by Yogi-isms. Because he was, why don't you make like a tree and get the fuck out of here or whatever, just like the Norm Crosby of cliches.
Right. The guys from Howard's band, the guys from Pig Vomit way back in the 80s, the first time I heard that, let's make like a tree and get the fuck out of here, I fell down laughing. I always thought Timmy came up with that. But Biff from Back to the Future, that's Tom, right? Tom Wilson?
Yeah.
He was a stand-up comedian. When I started working in Philadelphia in 1979, him and a girl named Judy Toll, who passed away so long ago, they were a group. They were a 2-man group. And he played the tuba in his comedy act. And all of a sudden, these years later, all of a sudden I see this guy, and I'm like, I know that guy, and he was in He was the bully. He was the bad guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was great, But he was a very, very nice character. But boy, that's going way back. That's right when I started stand up.
Yeah, tuba. Oh my God!
Who else was in Philadelphia? Dom Herrera.
Yeah.
Dom Herrera's wife at the time was Lisa Mendez, and her partner was Mike. Whoever her comedy partner was, he's the guy who created Sex in the City.
Oh.
Mike, I forget his name. He's done all kinds of stuff, but he was great. That a lot of people go way back there.
Right.
I'm sorry. I just got yakking.
No, whatever. It's all good here. It's all good. I'm happy to. We haven't seen you in a while, and I keep track of. I try to keep track of where you're performing. But have you done Uncle Vinny's in a while, or is that been a?
I did Uncle Vinny's like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you never know, because I'm not famous anymore, and I don't do that much promotion. But I went on. I go on Mark Simone regularly, which is crazy because Mark, it might as well be Trump's brother.
Right. Yeah.
But we just avoid all that because I know him going back to the bitter end in the mid '80s, and I used to host the comedy night at the bitter at the time. This is trivia. The bitter end for 2 years was called The Other End. Somebody bought it and renamed it The Other End. And for 2 years they ran it, and then Paul Colby bought it back and renamed it The Bitter End. But I was there, it was The Other End, and the manager was Bob Rowland, and David Copperfield used to come to see me.
Wow.
But he was no. He was the MC at Dangerfields. And then all of a sudden there was another guy named David Copperfield that all of a sudden got very famous.
Oh.
So he had to go back to his original real name. So David Heenan and Bob Rowland and Larry, I don't know what Larry's last name was. It might have been Henny Youngman's grandson, Larry, who died decades ago from heroin. So me and my wife, Mark Simone, Henny Youngman's grandson, David Copperfield, and Bob Rowland, who ran the Other End. I hosted the shows on Wednesday night, and then we'd all go out to an Italian restaurant. We did it every week for like an entire summer. So me and Simone got to be really good pals, and that long predates any politics or any of that garbage. So when I go on, he's just an old friend. I don't say, hey, who you been
but Simone was a comedian.
No, he was just a radio guy. He was a hanger-oner. Back then he knew everybody. Mark Simone had a show, and on his radio show, he had a bit called the Simone phone, where people would call in, and then he'd set them up on a date. And it was Dial a Date. Howard stole Dial a Date from Mark Simone, and nobody would ever believe that. And it's so funny because who Dennis Blair is?
Yeah.
Dennis Blair wound up opening for Rodney and opening for Joan Rivers. And then for like a decade, he opened up for George Carlin. When I worked at a recording studio in the 70s, he came in with his partner. They had just won the American Song Festival, and they got, like $10,000 or something. They came in to record demos. And he used to fuck around, and he was so funny. And I said, Dennis, I'm just starting out trying to be a comedian. You're much funnier than me. You should you should go for it. And then one day he came in and said, I went on at Dangerfield the other night. I had a couple rum and cokes and went up with my guitar, and I got a lot of laughs. So I kind of kicked his ass in this, he probably would have found his way anyway. But that was great fun. And he was such a character. And I forget what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Jack, I just want to ask you, does the name Darren Park sound right? Because I tried to Google the creator of Sex and the City. Not tried. I did Google it. And they came up with Darren Park.
No, look for Mike. Maybe he was a showrunner. Michael. I don't know. I can't think of it, but he's in there. And
Why you
Michael
make me
Patrick
try to
King?
remember names? What are you doing, TV?
Michael Patrick King?
Yeah, Michael Patrick King. That's the guy.
All right.
Google it. Go on his IMDb. He created a bunch of stuff. You know, he's swimming in money.
Wow.
But those were great days. But the other, it's so great. Did you see the Bob Dylan movie? Is so great. You know, and you actually see the inside of the bitter end. You know, years ago, my girlfriend Emily, her mother was in a group called the Serendipity Singers, which was, I always say, it's a group that had there was 7 people and 9 of them played guitar. You know what I mean? One of those hootenanny groups. And the guy Fred Weintraub, who created the bitter end, created that group. He saw Emily's mother and her partner and put the 2 of them together with a 7-piece group, I think from Dallas. And they worked every single place you could ever imagine for 2 years. And then they were done. You know, they all quit to go have their lives. And, you know, and Emily's mother got married, got pregnant, and had Emily. But they were huge for a couple of years. If you see their itinerary for those 2 years, and they're actually the group that kind of the hootenanny group in, you know, the Christopher Guest movie, A Mighty Wind. You ever see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the hootenanny group with like Eugene Levy and whatever, they were kind of, I saw Michael McKeon at some roast, and I said, Michael, this is Emily. This is, her mother was in the Serendipity Singers, and he almost fell off his chair laughing because that was like, to him, it was like meeting the Beatles, you know, because that was who they goofed that whole thing on.
Yeah.
That's a very funny movie. Holy Christ.
The other one, what was it? Walk Hard. I can't think of his name now.
Dewey Cox Story.
Yeah, the Dewey Cox Story. But what John T. Riley? Those songs that were written for that are some of the funniest comedy songs.
That is John C. Riley's great. Yeah.
In my mind, you're blowing me some kisses.
Just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Slaptail Squad says, this is so cool. I listened to Stern from 93 to 99 when I was at Fort Bragg, and this is the longest I've ever heard Jackie talk. You would just go back and watch all the Jackie episodes of this program. I gotta say this because with you here, because I appreciate you being here, but somebody accused you or tried to say, this is how far Jackie has fallen, that he's got to be on with this dopey schmuck in the morning. And I appreciate you being here. And I
unfortunately, I have to agree with that guy.
I don't. Because the truth is, even at this point in your...
I love sitting here talking to you guys, and you seem to, enjoy my garbage, and I love, anytime I go on, I went on with this guy, Bert Kreischer. And I never heard of the guy, but I guess he's really, really, really big and famous. I went out to LA to do his podcast, and we talked for 2 hours. And he said it was the most fun he ever had because, like that guy said, nobody ever got to hear me say a word. And anything I said would get big laughs. And then Howard would tell me I was lying or it wasn't true, or they never let me out from under the rock. Like you look at those old pay-per-views, they never let me or Fred be in anything. You know what I mean? They kept us squirreled away, so we just do our job. And I totally get it. That I just saw an interview with Jason Alexander from back in the Seinfeld days, and it's so interesting because him and Michael Richards and Julia, she certainly didn't need the money, but like they knew they were so important to that show. And NBC was trying to tell them that they were just side players. And it was like, how fucking, and it's the same thing as telling me and Fred that, no, you guys are just that you're very incidental. And we were so far from incidental, but I was the only one. Like those three banded together and said, we're working on this together, and stood up for themselves and got a better deal, but I was all alone. But it was the same thing. Like, you guys are going to make a fortune with this show, and you're going to make a fortune with show in the future, and you're on in so many markets, and they wouldn't give Jason Alexander and Julia and Michael Rich, they would not give them a piece of the pie because
I
they
remember
weren't important.
That was headline news. Like they were getting $1 million each and wanted more or something. $1 million a year or something and wanted more.
They were trying to get $1 million an episode,
right?
And they never got it, but they should have. You know, they wanted Seinfeld. They wound up offering him $5 million an episode, and he turned it down. He was done. He was ready to move on. You know.
Well,
I'm sorry, Jackie. I was asked to ask you about the time that you got to play guitar with not Wes Montgomery.
Les Paul.
Les Paul. And
didn't we cover that like 1,000
No,
times
I said I reached out to Jackie. I wanted Jackie to talk about it, and you said, "Well, everybody played with Les Paul."
No, Jackie.
No, what happened was
up here. You've talked about that before.
I met him, and it was it's a big chapter in my book. Get my book, The Joke Man About a Stern. And I met Les Paul and Keith Richards the same night at Les's 85th birthday party. And Les fell in love with me. And I went up and told jokes with him 50 or 60 times at the Iridium. But one time, he had 3 other guests, and they all were going to play guitar. So I said, just to be an asshole, I'm going to go up and play the guitar. So I went up and said, Les, tonight I'm going to play the guitar. And I did actually play it one time. And I played one of my goofy songs, and they all played along, and he laughed his ass off. And that's one of my favorite pictures. I don't know if I don't know how quick I could pull that up.
Yeah.
You know, it's me and Les, you know, playing with the rest of the guys, you know. That's but yeah, awesome. Les was a good friend. And I got up and told jokes with him hundreds of times.
Right.
You know, and he loved, what happened was he's old. He was 85 years old, and old people don't sleep. So he'd lie there in the morning and listen to the whole Howard Stern show. So when I went to see him and he found out I was in the audience, he called me right up and introduced himself. And I told him I was so flabbergasted to be up there with him. And the guy had thinning red hair and thick glasses, and he was very arthritic. And I looked at him. I swear to God, I was on stage with my father. And I looked at him, and it was like an instant bond. And it was just, you know, and he was just a dirty bird. He loved my filthy jokes. He just loved them, you know.
Were you at? Because I was worked on the production for an HBO tribute to Les Paul in the mid '80s. Were you at that show? Eddie Van Halen was on the show. I mean, lots of
no. That's long before my time.
Wow,
that's long before.
Wow, before.
I met him in 2002 at his 85th birthday party.
Wow. Yeah. So you know what? Les was a really cool guy. When he was running that Iridium thing, it was like an open mic night, and everybody who he was accessible. Anybody who idolized him had access to him, and that, you know, you don't see that anymore. Where,
but the people that showed up, you know, I never met. The one thing that really hurt, I never met McCartney, and McCartney was there at least 5 times over the years.
Right.
But I followed Slash. I followed Merle Haggard. And he'd have people that showed up that were, like when Keith Richards came to his party. Keith Richards' mother was a blues singer. And Les said, "Oh, Doris, you know, how are you?" You couldn't believe the shit, you know.
Right.
And people would come, like these old guys. I remember this one old black guy, must have been 95 years old, and he played the trumpet. He was just, you know, just amazing. And Les knew him from, you know, his stories were great. He said he was the band leader for Bing Crosby, and they had a new singer coming to try out. And it was Frank Sinatra. And he said him and Bing were taking a leak. And Bing said, "How's the new guy?" And Les said, "I told him, you know, he's good, but, you know, he's never going to hit those bass notes like you, you know."
Yeah.
Boo, you know, and, you know, how's the new guy talking about Frank Sinatra? That's crazy, right?
I feel wow, I feel like ancient now just talking about that. What are we looking at? Lace is telling you jokes here in this picture that we're looking at.
No, we're laughing. He's breaking my balls. That's on stage, and that's Nicky Perot, his bass player, who was so hot.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I saw him, she wasn't there the first night I was with him, but he was talking about girls or something, and he talked to some pretty girl. So the next week, I was having lunch with a friend of mine, Lisa France, who's a director, and the Iridium used to be below the Empire on 63rd and Broadway. It got moved to the Iridium like a year later, just pretty soon after. But he rehearsed his band every Monday afternoon. I mean, the guy's 85, and he would rehearse it up until he died. Every afternoon, they'd rehearse all afternoon, and then did 2 shows every Monday. 2 shows. I won't do 2 shows, and I could be his grandson, and he'd do 2 shows every Monday. And it was Monday, and I said, you know, Lisa, Les Paul, it's Monday, and he rehearses with his band. I bet you he's over there right. We're across the street. We're at like Fiorello's on Broadway, and I said, let's go. I want to introduce you to him. And we went over there, and I gave him a joke, and he used the joke every night that I was ever there. He used the joke, and the only time I was ever there when he didn't use the joke is when he did his show at Carnegie Hall, and holy shit, that broke my heart. But I gave him the joke, and he used to look at Nikki. Nikki used to come, the bass player, come forward, and she would sing an incredibly sexy song to Les. You know, wow. And he'd drool, and we'd all drool. And after she got done with the song, he'd say, you know, I feel like a condemned building with a new flagpole. And he loved that joke. And he always gave me credit. He said, I got that joke from Jackie the Joke Man. You know?
Very cool stuff.
Very fun. Very fun.
This morning in my Facebook memories, it came up a video that I had put together from my night at the Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame, where you were there. You were doing I guess you were doing the Joke Man, but you also, you know, a Q&A for the Joke Man. And then you did like just a whole, well, you did a screening and then you did the Q&A. That was a year ago last night, I think.
Was that? That was a great, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. And so, but the point I was making here is, even with all these nonsense people in the chats of all these people that are out there bashing stuff, there is a lot of love for you, because in that one where that guy ripped me apart, the guy follows you on every show you're on or whatever you do, and then he rips the people you're on with, and he did that with me. But in our chat room, it's just full of, I love Jackie. Jackie's like the best part of Stern. We miss him, and he's just a national treasure and all that stuff.
Do you have any idea how long it takes me to type all those?
And change your name every time too.
Yeah, I got to come up. You know, Dick Hertz and all those names.
Right,
you know.
right. I did not. Yeah, I didn't put 2 and 2 together because I'm slow.
No, I love that. I love that when people are nice. You know, they come up out of nowhere, and I love when it's you know, people of note who are like big fans and stuff like that. It's, you know, it's fun. You know.
Yeah. Slaptail, have you seen the movie The Joke Man? Joke Man. It's just called Joke Man, not The Joke Man. Have you seen it? It's still available, right, on Prime and all where?
Amazon Prime, and yeah, also that show, The Better Sister, is also on Amazon Prime. Well, it's not yet, but it's going to be. And
is that like a network show or something? Or
no, it's an 8-part mystery thriller type thing. What happens is there's 2 sisters, and one is a good person, and the other girl is all fucked up, and that's Elizabeth Banks. And so Elizabeth Banks, the bad sister, gets married, and her and her husband have a kid, and then she goes off the deep end, and they get divorced, and then her ex-husband, marries her sister. Okay. After they get divorced, the bad sister, her ex-husband marries the good sister, and he gets murdered. And that's what the whole show is about, trying to figure out who did what to who. And I own the bar where the guy who got murdered, that's Corey Stoll, the husband that got murdered. He came into my bar the night, just before he got killed. He came in and had a few drinks, and then my other scene is the detective asking me about that night. So it's interesting. I break up a fight, and these two guys, Corey Stoll and this other guy who was from Deadwood, they're both big guys, and I came around with a baseball bat. It's pretty cool,
Yeah. It said Slaptail said he just rented the Joke Man, but he really charged it to Steven. I don't know how you do that. First of all, it would get rejected if you tried to declined if you tried to. This is Chrissy.
No, I told Amazon Prime, take anybody's money, take crypto, take wampum, whatever you got to do. If somebody lies, give them the show anyway. Just whatever you got to do to get that scene. That's what I told.
I think Chrissy is like behind, lagging behind, because she's talking about the app. Before you came on, we were talking about why you were having difficulty and the app, and I said I don't know if Jackie even has an app, but Chrissy.
No, I had that app, but I always got right on with you with no problem, because you always sent me an actual URL that I would click on.
Right.
But what you did was you sent me a thing and it said, please sign on with YouTube. And they sent me in circles a bunch of times. And then when you said the problem was the app, I went to my app for StreamYard and deleted it. And then it let me in. So you explained. I don't understand this.
I don't know. I didn't even know they had an app. But
at any rate, Elton, thank you.
That's not Elton. That's Chrissy, our favorite beautiful Dane, the blonde, the gorgeous.
Oh, blonde. My girlfriend from Denmark?
Yes.
Oh, I still love you. Oh, I see her picture all the time.
Yeah.
But she's happily married and crazy, and she likes snakes.
No. It's a sad story. But no, she's not married. She's single, and she's. Listen, I would leave you for her.
I want to come over there. I want to come to Denmark. I'll bring a snake.
See, I'm afraid of snakes. I don't deal well with snakes. I'm paranoid. Anything that could bite me, I'm afraid of.
You like parking lot snakes?
No, that's not true.
Oh, jeez.
And that's why I was afraid of Steven last week at Governors in the Giggle Snatch, because he looked like he wanted to bite me. So now,
they give me the creeps too. I'm sorry about Chris. Who would split up with her? She's beautiful.
I don't think. See, that's why I said it's a sad story. I don't think it wasn't somebody split up with her. Somebody, I believe.
All right, don't go into it. But I'm going to write to it. Chris, send me an email. I forget how we communicated a bunch of times.
Yeah,
but I want to talk to her. I'll make you laugh. I'll pick up your day.
Yeah, I think she's a dominatrix. No, I'm kidding. But no, she's definitely.
You know what? I've never ever had one of those domination things. I've never been tied up or peed on, any of that weird stuff. Like I've been with a lot of girls and did a lot of fun, crazy stuff. But then, I remember there was an innocent, like a secretary from K-Rock. And after the Christmas party, a lot of times we go fool around somewhere. And when I told her I would never been, an innocent secretary from K-Rock, she didn't believe me when I told her I'd never been tied up.
Well,
I had been raised in a closet. And I'm like, how, if you take 10 guys, how many of them have been tied up? 5?
Have you guys ever been tied up? Are you up there on the top row? Have you guys ever been tied? Ron has. Ron likes to be tied up, right? No?
I don't mean, a lot of girls ask me and I turned it. It's never come up.
I know.
To make a bad joke. It's.
Most of the women I as far as I know, most of the women I've been with, and I've been with thousands all over. Nah, I'm lying. But
okay, Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, no,
you must be the Monopoly guy.
Yeah, no, I wanted to name my book. I couldn't because I would have got killed by everybody I know. But I wanted to name my book, My Life Was Wrecked by Pussy, and it wasn't even good pussy.
I don't think that would go well with like Barnes and Noble, or I don't.
No, or your ex-wife, you know.
Yeah.
I met a girl that wanted tied down, but I don't think I've ever even. I don't even think I know a guy that's ever even.
I wouldn't know. I'd have to go home and get a manual. You know what I mean? Like.
See,
you guys are meeting the wrong women, then. That's all I can say.
No, I've met a woman that wanted to be tied down, but
we're not meeting the wrong women. Is the problem?
Yeah, the women I had the pleasure to have known in that way would be turned off by a guy who wants to get tied up. They want a strong man. They want the guy to do the tying up to them.
Exactly. I dated a girl for a long time after I got divorced. For about 6 months, I was dating a girl who liked me to crap on her.
The fuck?
And the more I did,
crappy.
The more I did, the more turned on she got. So I used to eat like all kinds of McDonald's and French fries and stuff. And when we got together, I would squat over her, and shit on her chest. And the more I did, the hotter she'd get. And then one day I ate so much that I couldn't hold it anymore. So I went to the bathroom before I met her, and I got with her. And I squatted on top of her, and I couldn't do anything. All I did was a tiny little fart, and she started crying. And I said, "Why are you crying?" And she said, "You don't love me anymore." That's just a bad joke.
Yeah, I hope so.
I
You don't
really
love
hope
me
so
anymore.
too.
That's the greatest.
No,
I honestly thought you was going to say, "You went to McDonald's without me."
Taco Bell. I don't know if you want to talk about this on air, but can I expect that you're coming out to the Hamptons soon, or no? Or have you had any conversation?
I haven't spoken to that girl lately. A guy that I've known for 40 years at the Friars Club, Richard Lewin. He was like the Friars photographer. Really, really good guy. And he lives out there. And he said, "Why don't you come work at the Sticks and Stones?" I said, I've heard that name from my friend Matt Nappo on his radio show, but I kind of assumed it was a little tiny club and a bar. And he said, "No, it's run by a friar. Abby, what's her name? She's a friar, and she's a good friend of mine, Abby Russell." And he said, "Let me talk to her." And he wrote me back. He said, "She's going to call you up." So I would, I'd love to. What I'd like to do is I would like to show my documentary out there. I think they'd like it,
A perfect place for that, by the way, because it is that kind. It's a theater with the gradient seating, and for me, and I'm not being critical of the place, but for me, the stage is really huge, and no, they don't. A lot of the comedians just come up there and perform stand up like it's a governor's size stage, but it's a huge stage.
Well, that's the same thing like when you work at Patchogue or
I think you got to bring like some set design or something just to kind of I don't know.
A couple of lights.
Overdo it. Yeah,
a couple of lights to center it, but still, a lot of these places, the theaters you work in Jersey, like the Dunellen Theater, and them they're old vaudeville houses, and you work the big stage, you just stand in the middle, and it works fine. But it was, and he said the people that worked there were like Eddie Murphy's brother and Chris Rock's brother. But he said Jeff Garland was out there, and I said, "Well, that's a big name,
Yeah, he was there opening weekend. He was there for the grand opening thing. He was very good. And
did you go to his show?
Yeah. They've had some people. I mean, Vanessa Hollingshead. She was really, really good, and yes, she's got some wild stories about like her father was he left sugar cubes full of acid on the table. She was 9 years old. She ate like 20 hits of acid at 9-year-old.
Yeah, we had her on the radio show a few times, and I don't think we went too far into it because you never know when somebody comes on how full of crap they are. But if I remember, she was not fat, but tall, a big girl.
Yeah.
But very attractive, like a Nordic She looked like she could have been Mrs. Hitler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was great. But I go back so far. When Jeff Garlin was first starting out at the comic strip in Fort Lauderdale, his brother was going to Miami University, or one of the universities in Miami, and Jeff had gone there too. And me and him went down to work his brother's going to high school, and we went to work his brother's high school prom. And I went down and I bombed so badly. I mean, and he just loved it, you know.
Wow.
And we had so much fun, and that's going way back. And then he got so huge. I only ran into one time in 40 years. We went to some roast, and he was walking by me, and I grabbed him and said, and he hugged me. He said, "Oh man, I love you." I said, "Well, you know, my number's in the book. You know, if you guys ever need me, you know." But he's a nice guy, you know.
And wine his number is, but
yeah, please.
You know,
so March 1st, I'm at the Suffolk Theater.
Oh, the Suffolk Theater. Now that's with Clutch, my buddy Clutch. I should have had Clutch on today with you. Except Clutch would probably try to upstage you with. He knows a lot of jokes. He's the only guy I know who knows. I would say as many jokes as you. He's got that joke memory.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy. I think I've worked there 3 other times, and me and him hit it off really well. You know,
he's
really
never
good
done
guy.
Stand-up though. He's a bass player. He plays with me a lot, and he's played with lots of different people. But he loves to tell jokes, and the musicians hate him for it. I not hate him. They love him as a person, but when he gets on his joke run, they leave me alone with him. Like I can't take his fucking jokes anymore. But I love him.
I totally get that. You know, because if they've heard them already, you know.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, he doesn't retell them. But Jeff, he knows. He's like you. He knows everybody in show business. He's at least had contact with everybody I've ever heard of.
Yeah, but he's out in Hollywood. He really does. You know, I've have a sporadic, a Les Paul here and a Rick Dees there, but he knows everybody in between, and
Yeah.
He's been out in Hollywood for a long time, you know.
So I was going to call Abby today about some things that I want to do out there. Is it all right if I kind of try to nudge her on getting you out there? Because I would like to see
Yeah, tell her, make it your idea. Say, Jackie's got a great documentary, and he sold out the Long Island Music Hall of Fame, and everybody loved it, and the Q&A was great, and I think it really worked well. And that'd be a way of introducing me out there and see if people are interested. Then I could always come back and do a show. But it'd be really fun to show the documentary out there, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And
so you know her?
Yeah. She's a super nice person and really cares about the comedy scene out there. And she's not just doing it she's not in it for the money, which is unusual with entrepreneurs and stuff. She actually does it because she loves comedy. She put on a Hamptons Comedy Festival, and this is what she does. And what about the Friars, though? How do you get into Friars? Could I get into Friars, or it's
Friars completely kaput?
Oh, really?
There are rumblings that people want to try and resurrect it to rise it like the Phoenix, but the mob got in there, and the building is for sale for like $16 million because that's what they owe. And the guy Katzamandu, or whatever, the guy for the supermarkets, I guess he put in an offer for $8 million. They said no good because they need enough money to get back to square zero.
Wow.
I don't know if you know the story, but it's just so funny. The oldest joke in the books is the 2 Jewish guys in Miami, 2 old Jewish guys. And the first guy says, the second guy, "What are you doing down here?" He says, there was a fire and my whole business burned to the ground. And I got the big insurance settlement, but I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to start over at my age and build a whole nother business. I said, you know what I'll do? I'll take the money and I'll retire to Florida. What are you doing here? And the other guy says, well, my business, I was doing well, but then there was a huge flood and the flood destroyed my building and wrecked everything. I lost everything. I got the insurance money. I said, what am I going to do? At my age, I'm going to start over a new business. I figured, what the hell? I'll take the money and retire to Florida. And the first guy says, how do you start a flood? So the Friars is on 55th Street between Madison and Park in the middle of Manhattan. And it was wrecked by a water main break on the top floor. The place got flooded on Martin Luther King Day when nobody was there. I mean, you know, it was
how do you start that flood? That's exactly
they started a flood. I said, I can't believe the Friars Club is wrecked by the oldest Jewish joke in the book. And I mean, it destroyed everything. All the water came, you know, and it's so sad, you know, that. And I had so much fun there over the years. You know, it's not a big deal, but when somebody comes from out of town and you tell them you're going to take them to the Friars Club, they would get so excited. But by the mid-late 90s, a lot of times I go in there for lunch and I'd be the most famous person in the dining room. You know, It wasn't like Frank Sinatra and Milton Berle and Henny, you know, like Henny'd be there sometimes and Stewie Stone, but you know, rarely. Like if Red Buttons was there, it was a big deal, you know, but less and less people. But it was such a nice place and we're just so steeped in memories, you know.
Well, let me quiz Stephen a little bit here. Stephen, do you even know about the Friars? Do you know what the legacy of the Friars? Do you know why it's important for young comedians like you to understand their history? Do you know it?
No, I've never heard of it.
You suck. Get off my show. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I have a guy who opened for me a bunch of times who's a good friend, and he's been working as a comic. He'd worked at Governors, then dropped out and came back 20 years later. And he, forget about ever been there. He was a guy and a smart guy. He's a doctor. And he had never heard of the Friars. Wow. Like it's just not in the lexicon. People just don't, you know. It really dropped off the map. I mean, in the 80s, when I joined the Friars Club, you know, the guys in the Stern Show used to make fun of me because I was such an anomaly. Right. I was the guy in the show who was a friar.
You were a kid.
I was also a pothead. You know, it was.
Yeah. Wait, so the Friars Club roast, is that like? So you see like the sometimes you'll see like the infomercials for the old roast of celebrities. Is that the
you're talking about Dean Martin stuff? But Dean
Martin did roast.
Stole. He was,
and then the Friars roast. They lent that name. They lent the logo and the name to Comedy Central,
right?
Because the Friars did roast forever and ever. That's how they got started in the early 1900s. That's exactly what I was
talking about. Why it's important for young comedians to know the history. The roast, the idea of the roast came from the Friars, and they would have the stars of Jackie's father's and my father's generation, Milton
and
Berle,
everybody.
Dorsey Jessel, Red Buttons, and you know.
Do you know the story of what's his name?
Uh-oh.
Oh God! Albert Brooks' father.
Oh yeah, but you could tell it. They don't know it.
I'm trying to think of his name. I keep thinking, who bit your cock off? What was his name?
Well,
probably.
Yeah.
He was a Greek comic.
It was Albert Einstein, right? No,
it was Super Dave, who was Bob Einstein, and Albert Brooks's real name was Albert Einstein. It really was.
Harry Einstein.
And
Harry Einstein, right?
GD, look up Albert Brooks.
He did.
Who's his father?
Harry.
Harry Einstein.
Harry what?
Einstein.
Yeah, but what was his show business name?
Harry Park.
Park Your Carcass.
Yeah, well,
he was a famous radio comic. Yeah. Park Your Carcass, and they were roasting Lucille Ball at the Friars, and Lucille Ball. Yeah, they were roasting Lucille Ball, And Park Your Carcass went on last, and he got up to roast her and destroyed the place for however long, brought the fucking house down, sat in his chair, sat back down in his chair, and died face first into his soup.
Oh, no.
And it took a minute for everybody to realize what was going on. And this is a true story. And all of a sudden they're freaking out. And Milton Berle literally was yelling, "Is there a doctor in the house?" You know, the old, "Is there a doctor?" And the guy came up who was really a doctor and tried to save him. And everybody's freaking out. And Tony Martin was on the dais, who was a singer. I think it was like 1958 or something like this. And Milton Berle said, Tony, Jesus Christ, Tony, sing something." And Tony Martin's hit of that particular week or that month, and he started singing, "There's no tomorrow." And that's a true story. And and Park Your Car, and that was Albert Brooks' father and Super Dave Osborne's father.
Wow. Albert.
That's crazy. And he died as people were still laughing. You know what I mean? As he was going, they were still.
It's so funny that because Albert had kind of joked about stuff like that, but he never mentions his father, his father's tragic end when he does that. But
yeah. Albert Brooks, they did a documentary about Albert Brooks. I think they called it "Defending His Life." I think that was the name of the documentary.
Robert Meathead did it.
It's a great documentary. Great.
Yeah, that's how I found out about how his father died, from that documentary.
Oh, he talks about it in the documentary?
Yeah.
Wow, I gotta watch it. Why don't anybody tell me these things?
We tell you these things, you don't listen.
That was one of his famous movies, Defending Our Life or Defending My Life.
Yeah, Defending Your Life. That was a really good movie. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He was also good in broadcast news.
Yeah, he was terrific in broadcast news.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Dr. Ken Peters is a no-show today, so I don't know what happened to him. We were going to be talking about the Seed Chronicles. Seed
Sanctuary.
Seed Sanctuary. I don't need to store my seed. Nobody wants my seed, so
just waste it.
Hey, you know what I bought the other day? You probably know about these. I didn't, but I was visiting my friend Roy. We're making a joke gadget for the first time in 15 years. I'm so thrilled. And we went to his local pot store, and he said, "I really hate putting the pot in and grinding it, with the grinder." And he bought, and I wound up buying one too, an electric pot grinder.
Yeah.
A battery operated. You know those?
Yeah, Ralphie has one. I think he probably used it when you were there, and you probably didn't even notice when he.
Well, you put the pot in, and it's like a blender.
Yeah.
Oh, you already saw those. I had never seen one before.
They even have some that will pack a cone for you automatically at the same time.
Wow. See?
No, they don't.
These young kids, they are so techno savvy, I tell you.
So what do they call that, Stephen? Where do you get that?
I would just Google it. That's the best way to find it.
We have them available at minddogtv.com/merch. Here's another thing we have available at minddogtv.com/ what happened there? Is that it? I don't know.
Crotchless panties.
Oh, 15% off.
Nope, that's not what I was talking about.
But you could stuff your pot in there.
Well, you put your pot in the mouth hole, and then the joints come out of the
mouth hole.
No, I meant the throat hole.
There's no throat hole.
Tracheotomy.
Yeah, so this is available right now.
What is that we're looking at? What is that?
That's a sex doll called Scarlet. It's not a headless sex doll, available at minddogtv.com/doll. If you're a lonely guy, like most of our listeners are, lonely dudes, we have it's $239.99, but it'll never say no and never talk back to you.
But why wouldn't you want the rest of it?
I don't know. This is the question I have. Like, why is it headless?
Storage.
It's like it's a serial killer training doll.
You know what? You know what you got to get. I saw this. they're at the point now where you can actually buy a doll that it's a person.
Right.
You know, its arms and legs move and the whole thing like that. But you can buy one that's it's like a person, but from the waist up. So it's somebody you could sit at the table with you, and it could be your co-host. And it can respond to, you know, and it's not, it was only like, not only, but like $5,000. It was within the realm of whatever, you know.
This is available on Amazon, Stephen. This
This is one of many different versions. They have some that will grind and pack. They have some that'll do multiples at one time. There's a bunch of options.
What do you call it? What's it?
It's called
you gotta have
Free Boy Electric Cones. Here, I'll show it to you. Let's see, share screen, Amazon. You know what? I should put this in the merch on minddogtv.com. We can get these. Free Boy Electric Cones, rolling machine, automatic cone loader. These are for like pre-rolls and stuff.
Yeah, you can make your own pre-rolls and all that.
Nice. The technology is just wild, I tell you. Wild. Anyway.
And meanwhile, I don't smoke pot anymore. I can't.
What are you, kid?
I haven't smoked pot in a month, and last night I coughed the whole night. I'm still coughing from the last time I got stoned.
Wow.
You know.
But you
no, now I drink the. Do you drink that seltzer?
No.
Do you know about it?
I know about it. I've never. You know what? I would love to get back into edibles again. It's just they're really expensive out here.
It's Cycling Frog, and it's not expensive, and it's great. You get 2 milligram, 5 milligram, 10 milligram, or 25 milligram. It's called cyclingfrog.com, and it's great.
Jackie, I just texted the link that for that cone thing.
I've had a THC soda before. That was
that's what this is. That's what this is.
It was thick. It was a little thick for my taste, but like, man.
No, this is just like wild cherry seltzer or cranberry seltzer.
Oh man, that sounds
you
good.
wouldn't know. And you sit there and watch TV and you drink some, and it's, you know, it just makes all the clutter in the back of your head go away. I love it. You know.
So why did you quit? I mean, I know it's not like why you quit drinking. I know you quit drinking 20
No, but it literally meant, you know, my lungs are terrible. You know,
So
I mean, I still smoke pot, but I shouldn't. You know, just here and there.
Have you tried the gummies?
A guy sent me. I have a bag with like 50 or 70 gummies in it, and they're all 25 milligram, and they're like little gumdrops.
Yeah.
And they've been sitting in my. I'm just afraid of them. You know.
No, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Just
I'll hold your hand.
Start with one. Give it a couple hours. If nothing happens, next time try 2. And
yeah, but I always wash it down with heroin. You know, and that's
too.
like.
Well, that's.
I'll tell you what to do. I'll come out to your place. You can give me one and watch that. Nothing really weird happens.
I'll send you a couple of them. I'd be glad to. You know.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna share the wealth,
I'd be glad. Give me your addresses. I'll send you a couple. They're little tiny things, like the size of a gumdrop. You know.
Yeah, I know. I love gummies. The
you know
thing
what?
is,
There we go. We'll save them for the podcast-a-thon.
Hey, my friend Roy at the store, he bought a whole shitload of pot, and we got home and he said, "Here, take these," and he gave me like a little jar, a screw top jar, and a little envelope with crazy pot in it. I haven't gone near it. I got it sitting there. Come on out and get some, Napo.
All right.
Bring Ralph and come. You know.
Me and Ralph aren't talking. You know, Ralph, I've known Ralph for 65 years.
How do you get in these fucking battles with people?
Because
like with Matt Zinn and people like that. The most harmless people.
Jackie, you've met Matt, so everything should be explained.
Yeah.
I don't have the tolerance that you do, because somebody even asked, I think it was Ian before, asked about your relationship with Anthony Cumia, because he said, "Do you know about his racist tweets?" This is the problem I have with Ralphie and a lot of people in my life, these Trumper people, is I don't have the tolerance to.
Yeah, no, I'm not in communication with Anthony. I'm absolutely appalled at the shit that he writes. You know, but you know, I'm not going out with the guy and watch him yell at black people. You know, he's a guy that I know from the radio days,
Right.
And he was real good on my documentary. And whatever people want to do, I mean,
Yeah, that's
like
the problem I have
society should take care of that.
Yeah. But that's the problem I have with Ralphie and my brother. These people who have been part of my life my entire life. Come election day, I was brokenhearted, and I just said, "Fuck all you Nazis, man! I can't be around you." Maybe someday that'll wear off, but I'm still angry and still just hurt.
What? So Ralph voted for Trump?
Oh, big time! Ralph is like one of the biggest Trumpers I know. I mean,
at this point, how can anybody still be lined up behind that fucking guy?
Right.
2 minutes after the crash last night, he was blaming Biden and Obama. Like, what fucking planet?
Yeah, the
why didn't the helicopter?
hires
He basically said, "Why didn't the helicopter just go around the plane?"
Right.
What? This is the president of fucking. I don't want to talk politics. Don't get me wrong.
But here's the deal with Ralphie. He's married to a Colombian woman. He's got kids who are Colombian of Colombian descent. He went to jail and got the biggest bail set ever, bigger than Pablo Escobar, when he was smuggling coke from Colombia into the United States. He had the biggest bail set ever, and he's still a drug dealer. He's still dealing drugs, and he's a Trumper. It's like, how does that make any fucking sense at all?
Wow, that's one of those sentences that you have to take out of your lexicon now.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, right.
I always say if any sentence that begins with the words "you would think," don't think that way.
I would never.
You would think. You would think. Fuck.
Yeah. So I unfortunately, and it came up yesterday because, and I think I told you about this. I was looking for a girl to sing on your birthday, which comes up in 2 weeks. Happy birthday, or pre happy birthday. But somebody found out I had a duo, and they because I mentioned I had a duo. I was looking for. She called to ask if I would do a solo gig, but it's all about people. It's a place that I used to play with the band. They don't love the band since I left the band because they're all fucking Nazis, Trumpers. But she asked if I would do one with Kiara. I reached out to Kiara. She's busy. By the way, she said hello. Say hello to Jackie. But it's just I cut a lot of people out of my life over the election, and someday it might wear off. I might feel like, okay, I can deal with them again. But right now, it's just still it's too much. I can't.
It's the elephant in the room. Like, when you find out, I mean, you're just trying to avoid the issue because some people are much more vocal about it. But the worse this guy gets, there's been so many come to Jesus moments where, you're expecting the Joe McCarthy, "Sir, have you no sense of decency?" But that should have happened 100 times along the way already, and it hasn't.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's just too raw. It's a wound that's too raw. I was really expecting Harris to win. I let Ron talk me into this. This is the problem. And as talkative as he is, it's hard to ignore him. But he convinced me that she was going to win. It's all Ron's fault. That's what I'm saying.
I absolutely thought she was going to win. And then everybody Monday morning quarterbacks the million reasons why she didn't. And meanwhile, the bottom line is nobody thought the country was that stupid.
Right. Let me just talk about Ron Kane, because you see him here and you've seen him here before. He seemed like a really quiet guy. I saw him do stand-up comedy for the first time live last week. He's very, very good. Very good. And it's not his, this isn't him. He's reserved and quiet here on stage.
Well, he's absorbing, and I fully respect that. He's absorbing, letting us be assholes, and then he'll get rich talking about it. Right, Ron? You got a whole plan.
Yeah, that would be a great plan. I hope it works out.
Hey, you got to read. I don't really read, but I listen to books, and it's just such a godsend. And Kramer's book, Michael Rich's book, is unbelievable. What a story. What a tale that guy,
I think you gave me his contact once, and I tried to get him on the show, and I got no response from him. I didn't mention your name.
No, you're not going to get him on your B. As shocking as it should be, not that he's done anything really wacky or hard. It's just that he really is from another planet. He really is. He is fucking Kramer.
Yeah.
It's great.
That Friday show was a weird thing. You remember that? What was the guy?
No. See, I never even saw Saturday Night Live. Like in the 70s and 80s, when you're a musician and a comedian,
right?
If you weren't working on Saturday night, you had no right even attempting to do anything. And there weren't VHSs back then. There weren't. There was no such thing as recording things. Either you saw it or you didn't see it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like 1980 or 81 or 80, whenever they hit, and it was already old news.
Yeah, but that one episode of Friday, I agree, because up until like a month in November 5th or something, November 6th of this year, that was my life. Every Friday and Saturday night I was gigging. But that one episode, Andy Kaufman, Michael Richards, and the guy from Avery and Schreiber.
I just read about that. I can't wait. Is that on YouTube?
I don't know. It must be. It's got to be.
Where they had the big fight?
Yeah, a fight on, and it was 7-second delay or whatever, live Friday night TV. I think Richard was angry at Andy Kaufman for just fucking up, not going according to the script or something. Ended up throwing a drink on him, and well, I don't remember who's the Burns and Schreiber. Who the straight guy was? That guy was
Jack Burns.
Yeah, and he was trying to break it up.
Yeah, because he was the director.
Yeah, you weren't sure if it was real or not, or faked or what.
I read all. I listened to the whole thing, and I think I listened to it twice. I want to listen to it again after I see it.
Yeah. GD, you remember that at all? You're my age. You should remember that. No.
I remember it anecdotally. I don't remember seeing it.
Huh.
The guy that owned the Stern affiliate in Atlantic City, Al, whatever his name was, he was Andy Kaufman's college roommate. So they actually, paid him to advise on The Man in the Moon, the movie about Andy Kaufman.
Right.
But he said, I said, was he weird in college? He said, what do you think? What do you mean?
You don't get weird overnight.
Yeah, he didn't major in being weird.
Yeah, very very wild stuff. So what is this? Oh, I'm getting text messages from I guess people are listening to the show asking me about what is Jackie playing the Suffolk Theater?
March 1st, 8 p.m. March 1st. I'm at the Suffolk Theater with Joe. I know his name too. He's a funny young guy.
Do you pick?
Bales is my opening act, and he couldn't do it. And my friend Rich Harkway is my other opening act when I'm in Jersey, and neither of them were available. So I got this guy that opened for me with. He works with Dean from Uncle Vinny's a lot. He's from Baldwin. He's a real good guy. I'm going to give him a plug. Hold on, I'm going to find out.
Plug him.
I put the link to the video of the fight in the private chat. I'm see if there's a shorter link. That link is very
anything in the private chat. What's going on here? Why am I not seeing the private chat?
Let's see if I can find a shorter link.
My private chat is empty right now. Totally empty.
I'm gonna redo it. I didn't hit send. I was looking for a shorter one. Let me redo it.
GD, send it to me too, GD. It's Joe Cravella is my opening act. March 1st, 8 p.m. Suffolk Theater. And that's a great room. I always have such a great time.
We're plugging that. People can find out about it at jokeland.com, jokeland.com.
Jokeland.com. And it's also on 516-922-WINE, 516-922-9463. Free jokes for the universe since 1979.
Use your finger. Nobody uses their finger anymore. They use their thumb. You got to change your thing. Use your thumb.
I use my finger.
His hands were soft and supple.
If you had a really good date in high school, you could still smell it by Wednesday.
Yeah, I would never wash it, and I have not washed it.
Fred Norris used to say, "There ain't no soap this side of hell can wash away that fishy smell.
Yeah. And he's absolutely right.
And he also used to say, if it smells like fish, it's a dish. If it smells like cologne, leave it alone. I love those.
That's what I call schlong division.
Right, enough with the schlong. I'm not, no pressure here. March 17th, we are St. Patrick's Day. We are the only live one of podcast involved in this podcast-a-thon for charity. We are in it for the American Cancer Society. There's a bunch of different charities. We are representing American Cancer Society. March 17th, live here. I would hope you would consider at least coming on with us for a short time and helping us raise some money for a good cause. So I'm just no pressure if you can't make it or whatever.
Why is your audio all of a sudden?
Matt, your audio is really bad.
It is?
Yeah, it sounded muffled.
Whatever you did, you just fixed it. Now there's nothing. Now you're locking up.
Oh, he's muted.
I am muted myself. Hold on a second. Is this better?
Yep.
Am I okay?
Now you're all right.
There you go.
Weird.
No,
Weird.
what's this podcast you're talking about?
It's the podcast-a-thon for multiple charities. It's a week-long. It's called the podcast-a-thon. I think they stole it. Remember, I did a pod-a-thon for 20 hours. 40. Was it 40 hours? Yeah, 40 hours we did. To break the Guinness World Record for it. Only to find out they wanted like $20,000 for me to list it in the book. And
so what day of the week?
What is the 17th? Do we know?
It's a Monday.
I think it is a Monday. Yes, that's when we're on. Now it's all week long, but we are on our regular time slot, 9 a.m. to 11.
All right, well, email me. I'd love to come on with you.
All right, cool. So yeah, we'd appreciate you coming on for that.
Now, see, that's what I'm saying. Jackie, you send out the gummies. We all try them on the podcast-a-thon.
And March 14th, I'm at Max's Esca on Staten Island. It's a nice Italian restaurant, and I've worked it a couple times for Uncle Vinny. That's a long ways away. That's March 14th. It's Friday night, March 14th. But you people in New Jersey, Max's Esca.
Right.
Everything is on jokeland.com.
With the guy in the front row, guy who's having dinner in the front row there, he goes like this. He goes, "You're going to shut up and sing? My soup's getting cold."
That's all right.
I'll be at Uncle Vinny's on Tuesday.
That's why I brought up Uncle Vinny's.
Oh, good.
That's your first time at Uncle Vinny's, right, Ron?
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Point Pleasant?
Yes. Yep.
That's a great. I've been working there for 25 years. That's a great room. I just sold that out. I'm so hit and miss, man. I never know. Cause I go on Mark Simone, and I got my plugs on the Jimmy Fallon show, but that was on Fox. I haven't gone on Q104 in a long time because it's such a long haul to go to the city and be there at 6:30 in the morning. But I still go on BAB, but I never know. And the last time I worked Uncle Vinny's, it was sold out. It was packed, which is I don't care what room. If you're in a sold out room, it's just heavenly. It's really fun.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's the best feeling.
I don't know what happened.
And I got Soul Joel's at Potsdam, whatever it's called.
All right,
I don't have it booked yet, but I'm doing that in April, and I really like that place.
Let's take a second because GD was kind enough to go find this thing to actually look at it. It's way too long. It's 5 minutes.
Now in this next
5 minutes 42 seconds, I think.
For one reason.
Yeah, no, don't show it. We'll watch it and then talk about it.
Yeah. And then I'll end up getting sued anyway or copyright infringement.
Yeah, fuck them.
You've already shown too much.
Yeah, I've already shown too much?
No, I don't.
You're in trouble.
All right.
You are in trouble.
On your permanent record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking grounded.
Hey, let me know if you need any openers for Soul Joel's, Jackie.
Soul Joel's.
Yeah, he ain't booked yet, but he owes me because I worked for him. He has a show in what's the place? Clearwater, Florida, and I went all the way down there and did a show from there. And And we did really well and sold a lot of tickets, but I guess it's pretty hit and miss. So I don't know how long that show's going to last.
Yeah.
But Joel's a good guy.
Are you bringing Richard with you again in Soul Joe's or someone else?
You know, I use Rich whenever I can, you know, because he draws a lot of people in you know, Jersey and Pennsylvania, because he's been around a long time, and he's good, and he's very low key and very funny, so that works well with me.
Are you aware of the local comedy scene and what goes on in Long Island, New York, like the constant daily? Here's what I'm getting to. Madonna has been doing stand-up comedy. Are you aware of this?
A Madonna lookalike?
No, Madonna.
She did one set
at the Comedy Cellar the other night, and the local Long Island guys were really upset about that she's taking spot. Why doesn't she just go do an open mic night at Gov's or like one of those? Why does she just get like? Why can't she pay her dues like the rest of us and start with open mic nights?
Because she's fucking Madonna. She's been paying her dues for 50 years. People are so stupid.
Right.
Holy Christ! You know, if she hasn't earned the right to walk in and go on stage wherever she wants, you know. These guys are stupid. You know, I went to the governor's Christmas party, and it's always fun. You know, and then so many people were there that had done our podcast, so it was fun talking to them. But I always wind up just sitting with John Blenn and shooting the shit with John Blenn and Joni, and you know, I take pictures with and I love the young girls that are young. You know, like 40 years old. Like this one girl's like, I forget her name, but she's done Bales's. Peter Bales's comedy course like twice, and then they're all nice. You know, everybody's very nice. They're never rude and talking about gigs and all like. But I hear, you know, but there's always been backbiting, you know, forever. You know, there was a guy who stayed mad at me for decades because I canceled him from governors. Did I ever tell you that story? This is a great story.
It sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure.
When I wrote in 1975. I was homesick, and I wrote a song called "The Pot Song," and you probably heard of that because Howard had a field day with it. But I wrote this song called "The Pot Song." I have a cartoon
version of you doing it.
And then we came home, and we went and recorded it in a recording studio, and I hit it off with the owners. In fact, one of the owners from the studio where we recorded "The Pot Song," now it's 2025. He's married to my sister. You know, I stick to people like bubblegum, right? So we do the Pot Song, and at the end of the Pot Song, at the very end, for no reason, we really and at the end, that's all, folks. So that's on the record, okay? So when we started Governors, we had 4 acts every weekend, and me and Nancy booked the acts. You know, I was the host. And we booked the show, made a lot of money. We produced the show. And then this is like 1981. And after a couple months, and you know, you booked so far in advance because there was no gigs. So every comic in the world was up my ass. Book me, please book me, please book me. And, you know, the shows wrote themselves. So I had a weekend where I actually had 2 guitar playing, you know, comics that play the guitar in their act. So all of a sudden, Jimmy from Governors calls me up and says, look, we don't want 4 acts on the bill each week. We only want 3. So I had to surgically go through a couple of months. I had all these comics booked, and it was like Sophie's Choice. I had to cancel somebody from each weekend, which was, you know, is not the phone call guys want to get. And there was a guitar playing comic. And I was very good friends with Kevin Sullivan, who was a Long Island comic. So I canceled this other guy. And it was months away, and he was so pissed off. I'm like, dude, listen, this is not a personal thing. I had 4 acts. They're making me cancel 1 from each weekend, and there's another guitar playing act. I have to cancel you. So he's all pissed off, okay? It turns out that this guy is the cousin of my very good friend Lee Newman. He's one of Jimmy McHugh's, not heirs, but one of Jimmy McHugh's descendants. Like Jimmy McHugh was also his grandfather. And Jimmy McHugh wrote I'm in the mood for love, and I can't give you anything but love, baby. He's like one of the great songwriters of all time. So this guy's working at Warner Chapel, okay?
Wow.
So me and Bates put out this song, and then after I get on the Stern Show, me and Nancy put out a CD called the Off-Hour Rockers Holiday Sampler, which had Nancy's Christmas song and To Whom It May Concern, which was my love song that we recorded in the studio, and the Pot song from the studio, and then a bunch of live horrible recordings from my father's place. If we sold a dozen of them, I'd be shocked. Maybe a dozen. So this cocksucker that I had canceled in 1981 works for Warner Chapel because of the lineage he comes from. I get a cease and desist from Warner Chapel. Oh, also Jimmy McHugh's father-in-law was Eddie Cantor. Okay.
Holy shit.
So I get a cease and desist. We are aware that you using Eddie Cantor's song, Merrily We Roll Along, that's copywritten to Warner Chapel, and you need to cease and desist and send us any funds but whatever it was, because of that song, that's Merrily We Roll Along, which was written by Eddie Cantor. So we had to go back in the studio and edit out and I don't know what it cost, but we had to get rid of all the old. Yeah, I'm sure we didn't throw them away, but just because this guy had the ass from 20 years before. I mean, it's, talk about people pissed off because you cancel a gig.
Grudge, holy shit!
And then like weeks later, I meet Lee Newman, whose grandfather was Jimmy McHugh and great grandfather was Eddie Cantor, and his job in life is to work on that catalog, and he would have just given me blanket permission in a second, and he just couldn't believe. And he said, "Oh, and by the way, Brian Gary's the guy's name." He said, "Brian is just the outcast of the family. Everybody hates him. He's such a piece of shit." It's just.
And he's here now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know that's a long-winded story, but it is a funny. People carry that. That anger.
Wow. Yeah. It's just because he got bumped off a gig at Governors before Governors was really, whatever. It's just really weird. Nowadays,
well, it was the biggest game in town back then because it was the only game in town. It was the East Side Comedy Club and Governors.
Well, East Side was. You know what? I always knew about East Side, and that East Side was the place I went. I didn't even really. I wasn't even really that aware, but I'm a Suffolk County guy, and East Side was right on the border there.
Right.
Yeah, nowadays though, YouTube is listening, and they're probably just give me a copyright. Except that stuff is public domain because it's 200 years old now. But just for you going be like, yeah. Copyright strike. What do you mean? And then I have to go.
Yeah, so many of the copyrights are. It was 28 years, and then they changed it to 56 years. But now, the 56 years are up on a lot of songs.
Yeah. I mean, Beatles songs. You would think,
crazy.
Beatles broke up 56 years ago, or 55 years ago. So
that's frightening.
Domain. Yeah. So it's just, but they are hyper vigilant. But that is a fucking long time to hold a grudge over one gig.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah. And nothing ever happened with that guy. He's not a big name. He didn't make it.
He actually had a one-man show. That lasted for one performance in 1980.
Yeah,
you can Google that. It's Brian Gary, Gari.
All right, he'll be on the show Monday. We have, yeah. You know what? I'm glad you came on today, and we kept you longer than you expected. And I hope you're feeling okay. And I hope
well, I got to go to the dentist, and I haven't been coughing. So I'm going to assume it's all right to go to the dentist. I hope,
careful.
They're right across the street, but what the hell? But I'm going to be on The Better Sister on Amazon Prime sometime in the spring. They haven't given us an air date yet. And I'm going to be at the Suffolk Theater. It's called the Suffolk. Ooh.
Suffolk, yeah.
It's called the
Nice,
Suffolk,
nice.
March 1st, 8 p.m. Saturday night. And Max's Esca on Staten Island, which is a pretty fun place, Friday, March 14th. And 516-922. Wine is still operating. And there's still so many jokes on jokeland.com if you go to the video section. And I thought they were taken off TikTok. They weren't taken off TikTok.
12 hours.
But it's still there. And all my jokes are still on there. And there are hundreds of jokes on TikTok.
Right.
Just under
I
Jackie
might come
Martin.
to Suffolk. So if people, this is the big incentive. If you come to Suffolk, you'll find me up by the sound guy Clutch. I'll be signing autographs.
Yeah, I always wind up selling a lot of shit there and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a big room, right? That room holds like 800 people more. Or
Yeah,
more.
no, I don't sell it out, but I usually put in a decent amount of people, you know.
Yeah, all right. So I think I will be there with if nothing else is on my schedule.
Hey, you gotta go. You gotta watch. You gotta get the Dylan documentary or the Dylan movie rather.
Yeah, you know what? My wife took me to the movies a couple of months ago when that was just a trailer on the movie. She took me to see some right-wing fucking crazy nonsense. But that was a trailer, and I said, I got to see this movie as soon as it comes out. Now it's been 2 months. I still haven't seen it. I got to get out of this fucking chair and go to.
Well, now it's the it's award season, and I think it's nominated for a bunch of stuff, and it's a. Are you in SAG-AFTRA?
No.
Oh, because that's one of the free movies. You know, you get all the nominated movies you have access to. So,
yeah.
You know, I watched A Real Pain last night. Which is really odd. You know.
Yeah.
You know, Jesse. What's his name?
Just in case anybody's interested, I'm in FAG-AFTRA. It's kind of like SAG-AFTRA, but it was for a different kind of genre or different.
Did you see that thing? It's got to be an AI thing where Trump is saying from now on, it's gonna be all right to say fag and retard. But it's so real. It's it's not the guy from Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's Trump. This fucking AI is scary.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, thanks for being here, man, and feel better.
All right, you guys, good luck to all of you. Ron, good luck with you.
Right.
Tell Uncle Vinny I said hello. Tell Dino and Jerry I said hello.
Dino.
And, Dino. It's so funny that the brothers are Dean and Jerry. Isn't that hysterical?
Yeah.
But nowadays, nobody knows who the fuck Dean and Jerry are, you know.
Yeah. Right. Steven, you know who Dean and Jerry are?
I know Ben and
Instead
Jerry.
of Mouse and Cat from the cartoons.
No, that's Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. I wanted to do a whole little video on famous feuds, Hollywood feuds, or show business feuds. And Dean and Jerry is one. Carson and Rivers, obviously, is another one. I don't know if you're aware of the Jerry and Bing feud. Are you aware of that? The Jerry and Bing Crosby feud?
Jerry Lewis?
Yeah. Bing, before Jerry took over the telethon or whatever, Bing Crosby had some kind of telethon, and Dean and Jerry were on there, and Jerry was trying to rip off Bing Crosby's toupee, and Bing Crosby ran away from him. He ran off the set because he was paranoid that Jerry was going to. And from
if you have a URL about that, please send it to me. That's a great. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
I love that horse shit. You know.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams had a feud also.
All right, listen. I can't be late for the dentist. So I'm getting caught up again.
Say dentist, we said hi.
Thanks a lot.
Keep plugging, and let's do this again next week or the week after or something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, man.
All right.
I'll talk to you.
Take care, Jackie.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye. He's going to be on the Good Sister. I'm going to be on the Ugly Sister in about 20 minutes. That's the response I get. Come on. Hey, Jackie the joke man. Good thing now our second guest, I'm told, was hospitalized. Emergency hospitalization this morning. That's why Ken Peters, we wish him well.
He's a doctor. He couldn't do it himself.
Stop.
He's a PhD doctor. He's like Joe Biden, right? He's not a.
Oh.
He's not an MD.
Jackie is right about the dentist. Like a few months ago when I went in for a cleaning, I showed up like 10 minutes late because of like traffic. And the entire time I'm walking back to the chair, the fucking hygienist is grilling me the whole time. Like, why couldn't you be here 10 minutes ago? It's like, lady, shit happens.
I'm smelling a double standard here because you go there, if you're there an hour early, they'll make you wait an extra hour, sit in the
every
waiting
time.
room.
Yeah.
Yep. It's fucking wild, dude. It's always like that. You miss one appointment and they're like, if you miss again, we'll never see you again. But that doctor can call you up anytime and be like, sorry, we can't see you this day.
Yeah.
I always get there early because I do stand up in the waiting room.
Oh man. See, listen,
That's brave.
I love you, but I would go fucking crazy if I was in the waiting room at a doctor's office and some dude was trying to do jokes the whole time.
Wait, did you just tell him you love him?
I've never had anybody not enjoy it. The doctor's office.
Hold on, you're skipping over the most important part of the program this morning. Did you just tell him you love him?
Oh yeah. I love you guys. You guys are great.
I like that. We made a love connection here.
I think guys should normalize telling their friends they love them. Not like in a homosexual let's touch penis way.
Not homophobic here.
But there's another way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every time that GD leaves the doctor, he's very groggy and his asshole is hurting him too.
Especially from the dentist.
And he's rinsing and spitting like he's been to the dentist. I don't
know. What a weird dermatology appointment.
and that's why my doctor's a lady, and the lady is a tramp.
Wow. All right. So that's it. I guess that's it. Oh, are we done for today? I mean, I got to take Jokeland out of it. Go to Jokeland, right, Jack?
I just want to mention something real quick. I was talking about Dave Chappelle's and Cat Williams feud.
Cat Williams, yeah.
Okay, this is the way Dave Chappelle tells it, and I'm going to do the best I can with it. Somebody had cloned, or somebody had taken Dave Chappelle's name on Twitter, and Dave Chappelle couldn't get it. So somebody that was using Dave Chappelle, he couldn't get it. And they were using his name to start shit with other comedians. So they started a feud with Cat Williams under Dave Chappelle's name. Okay. And so Cat Williams is giving Dave Chappelle shit. And Dave Chappelle's like, wait a minute, that's not me. And so Dave Chappelle is finally at a place where he's in the same physical place as Cat Williams, and he goes over to apologize to him, explain to him that's not him attacking him. And Cat Williams says to him, I'm not on Twitter. So someone else was using Cat Williams' name and attacking the fake Dave Chappelle. So the fake Dave Chappelle and the fake Cat Williams was having a feud, each one thinking the other one was the real one.
So they settled that? It's done with?
As far as I know, yeah.
Because these other feuds we were talking about, they went on for 20 years or more. I think the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis thing was a 30-year feud. And this is what I was alluding to. These fucking radio guys, Opie and Anthony and Jim Norton and all these people, they just every fucking day. Look, where do you find the energy to carry this feud on? Even if
Jerry Lewis, but Jerry Lewis is a well-known dick. Was a well-known dick.
Well, he's the king of comedy in France, okay?
Right, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think it was well known that he was such a dick until right when he got very old and he was doing these interviews and being abusive to the interviews and stuff. But for most of it, he got credit for being a philanthropist and giving all his time to the kids, and nobody knew he was being a dick to the kids. It wasn't well known until very late in life. Right. So at the time that feud was going on with Dean.
I think it was just stories. I think if the internet had been around during those times.
You're right. That's it. What do you make it? The Bill Burr now is getting trolled by a lot of people for just calling out podcasters and these guys who made a far right wing turn just for the grift of it all. Bill Burr kind of called them out, and now he's getting trolled by people. Is there anything to that? Is that going to be a, like a feud thing?
I think in the end, Bill Burr will win
Yeah,
I think they control him all he wants, and that's just more fuel for him.
Yeah, my money's on Burr and all this stuff. He's just too good. He's smarter than all of them.
Yeah, and like Bill Burr is still the undisputed heavyweight champion, especially after what he did in Philadelphia years
Well, I was just going to say, he beat the shit out of Philadelphia, one man against Philadelphia, and he won.
Yeah, and they fucking hated him when he got on stage. And by the time they got off, he insulted, he shit all over that city, and they loved him.
Yep.
Now, he couldn't go back for like 10 years, but
like an abusive girlfriend. You know what? No matter how, the more he beat on them, the more they wanted to stay. They loved it.
And if you're out there, you've never heard that, go check it out. Bill Burr, Philadelphia.
It's rough, but it's good.
You might as well just put my name. You might as well just said, GD, if you haven't seen that. GD, I know you haven't seen it. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, so check it out.
You don't know about the Bill Burr
no
Philadelphia feud?
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what, Theo Von had made the mistake of bringing that up to Bill Burr, and he was like, that shit again. It was he don't want to talk about it. He wants it to be in the past, but it's hard to forget.
But it is like a 101 class on how to fight hecklers and win.
Yeah. And get them like actually appreciating the wanting more of the beating. Beat us up some more. That's Philadelphia for they're masochists, I guess.
Yeah, and when he talks about them leaving the venue, it's like you're just gonna be overwhelmed with black cocks just coming at you.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good night.
And Burr is one of the few people who were part of that radio, the 90s radio thing, the Opie Anthony thing, the Stern stuff. He's one of the few guys who actually calls out Anthony Cumia for his racism and like really buries him on it. And, that doesn't sit well with there is a faction of people who are now free to celebrate their racism, and Anthony Cumia has become a hero to him because he doesn't hold back and doesn't apologize, and just free lets the racism flow like water, and they love that, and they call it just telling the truth.
I really think there's going to be a lot of white people getting beat up this year.
I hope so.
Yeah,
and we'll cover it live here.
We might see a sequel to the White Chair, and we may see that happen this year.
We should start calling it Whitey Cam every time we find a video of a white dude getting beat up for saying stupid shit.
You know what?
Here's something I know this is off topic, but this whole plane crash and helicopter crash. Here's just a quick couple points since the old man is blaming DEI. On January 20th, Trump fires the head of the FAA.
He resigned. I thought he resigned.
January 21st, Trump freezes hiring for air traffic controllers. January 22nd, Trump disbands Aviation Safety Advisory Committee. January 28th, Trump sends out buyout retirement demand to existing employees, removing experienced safety staff. January 29th, first American mid-air collision in 16 years.
Right. And the worst one in 23 years as far as deaths and casualties and all that kind of stuff. I think there were no survivors, right?
Right, no survivors.
Now, I mentioned this earlier because they said DEI, but the pilot of the plane was an Indian immigrant. The ones they were talking about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago was that we need more Indian immigrants. They were all of a sudden they were
but they wanted them for computers, not for pilots.
But they were there before their brain. They wanted them because they were intelligent and well educated, right? And so Trump's thing was, well, you can't have incompetence. Well, if you're smart, you're smart, right? So there's that. But just 2 weeks ago, they were pro-immigrant as long as you were from India or Asia in some way. The rest of Asia, I should say. But now all of a sudden that qualifies as DEI. What about Lara Trump, right? That's her name. The former head of the RNC, who had no qualifications whatsoever to get that job. Her only reason for being hired was that she was part of the Trump family. That doesn't count as a DEI hire at all?
No, because she was family.
Okay, fine.
See, it says, if you look at DEI, it says diversity, diversity, equity, and inclusivity. That there's no F in there, so you don't. Family is good. You can do with family.
All right. Do we know?
But DEI also stands for dumb, even for inbreds. That's
wow. That's true. You can make it stand. Okay. Oh, that's what you give him. But I make a little terrible joke, and you just fucking. I have to force it out of you. All right.
Listen. I'm not that easy. There got to be some foreplay there. Okay.
All right, fine.
You must be the Monopoly guy.
Thanks for the free parking.
Because I hate to feed into this fucking crap, but every time I watch this thing, it looks like the helicopter made a beeline. Right,
I thought the exact same thing.
Now the audio, I think the audio that I heard, the control tower was saying that them to go behind the plane. So that was, and so I don't know if they didn't see the end of the plane, like they were trying to go behind it. I have no idea.
So those planes should have indicator lights on all the three major points besides the nose. So they should have seen it, but my guess would be that the plane probably slowed down more than what they thought it was going to, and they were supposed to miss and hit. Would be my guess, because it did look like a beeline. Like I thought the same thing.
And the question is, do we know who the pilot was? We know it was a military aircraft, but they should have had that data before we got who the pilot of the American Airlines.
Well, here's the deal.
I'm wondering.
Pete Hegseth released that information within hours, and he's not supposed to. All military deaths are supposed to be withheld for 24 hours to give time to notify the families and to absolutely make sure that that person is just, because the military has a certain way to deal with death. Right. And, they notify the family, blah, blah, blah. But Pete Hegseth just blurted it out at the press conference because he doesn't know military standards, I guess.
So, but the reason I brought it up is because our military is kind of a training ground for domestic terrorists, right? We got a lot of these guys.
Not only that, but I'm surprised they're not looking at a possible connection to the other two guys that did the New Orleans thing and the Cybertruck thing were also trained U.S. military who turned, right? So I mean, and like I said, you watch the video, Matt. I could not agree more that it looked like he aimed for it.
Yeah.
Just at the angle of that video, it looks so intentional that it's scary. So
yes. I hate to agree with Trump, but it definitely, a helicopter sees him. You can't miss that plane. It's got big bright lights on it. You had to see it in front of you. You had a visual for a long time in that video.
And those Blackhawks have, the Blackhawk and the plane both have their own radar. They both there's a lot of things that should have helped them avoid each other. So it is fishy a little bit.
Yeah. You know what? Nobody even mentioned the aspect that it could be domestic terrorism. Just like a crazy. Our military.
They wouldn't mention it right away if the pilot's white. If the pilot of the chopper is white, they wouldn't mention it.
Now they're saying the pilot is a woman.
Oh.
Well, that explains the shitty flying. No, I'm just kidding.
You say a Korean woman. I'm sorry, that was super racist, and
that's even more racist than worse than what I said.
It wasn't a Hyundai helicopter.
It sounds like they all should have spent more time in the simulator. So,
yeah.
Apparently, the pilot of the helicopter was experienced. I don't know what experience means in terms of Black Hawk time, but
yeah, she had 500 hours of flight time.
Wow,
that's a lot.
That's not a toss in the hat. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's 497 hours more than I have.
Yes, I don't know. I think it's either human error or maybe if it went right for it, maybe someone on board had some mental issues or some shit like that.
I mean, it's just like I said, they have a
And
lot of tools and instruments that should have helped them prevent this from happening, even if ATC wasn't available. Which there's also reports that ATC, the radio chatter was abnormal as well. Which, with them being short-staffed, that's possible too. So,
yeah.
I'm
willing to wait for all the results to come in from the
but
NTSB.
if you like conspiracy and other talk like that, join us Monday at 9 p.m. Huh?
Right.
Beyond Declassified, huh?
Right. Maybe we'll talk about that. I'm not talking. I'm not going to be on the show. I'm in the back end. I'm in Steven's back end. Just kind of.
Well, let's. The military doesn't really have a great history with mental illness or even taking care of their own. I remember a story my friend's dad told me when he was in Vietnam. One of the guys accidentally discharged his weapon inside the bunker, and and they took his gun away from him, but they gave him a knife. He was still allowed to have a knife.
Dude, you think that's nuts? I know somebody who has manic depression and bipolar. They let them join the Navy, and all they said was, get through basic training without your medication, you'll be good. And then we can put you back on after basic training. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what you're gonna give somebody with manic like flips a fully automatic gun at basic training and say, hey, don't have a bad day today.
Yeah,
what?
and he also told us this other story. There was a guy who was had some issues with drugs. He was like smoking weed and stuff, and they found him. And he had like a couple months left, and the commander said, every time he gets off work, someone take him to the bar on base, get him drunk, and just take him back home. And they did that to that guy for months. So he probably didn't have alcoholism after that, but here.
Right.
Probably just has PTSD. Every time he smells alcohol, he flips out.
Yeah, and the military.
Look how much money he saved and not having to buy his own beer.
And the military still has a very real issue with sexual assault.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Of course, because their head guy is a sexual assaulter.
Right. I think we have somebody who was a vet who wanted to be on the show. I forget, but I've had lots of vets on my evening show and talking about rape. It's not what you think most of the time. It's not even male on female rape. It's a lot of times it's dudes getting raped by dudes.
Yep. Sorry, Matt. It's called hazing.
Oh, is that what's called?
Yeah, when it's dude on dude, it's not
sorry,
rape.
I'm a little hazy on the subject.
Yes.
Thank you, Stephen, but a little delayed. But next time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Try that. All right. So is that the show? Should I just crash this into the wall on that happy note?
Let's do showbiz news in the next 3 minutes.
Showbiz news? What kind of showbiz news could there fucking possibly be? We had Jackie Martling on all day here. Now, I'm wondering, because I did tag Jackie on the Twitter stuff and all that stuff. Will that show end up on will this show end up on that that roaster podcast show? You think? That's what I was hoping for. That's why I tagged him on there. I don't usually tag him. So yeah, that's it. I guess we should just end this thing and put it out.
If you really want, those guys if you really want to get Stuttering John on the show, because they really hate Stuttering John.
I don't think I haven't attempted to get Stuttering John on the show. First of all, I've had some back and forth with him, calling. It's just one of these guys who's just always whining about something, always the victim of bullies. I get that. If you're a stutterer, you probably did get that in real life, but online he's just always talking about everybody.
Does he stutter online as well?
Here's the thing. He's known for his stuttering, but he was the announcer on the Tonight Show. That Ed McMahon guy. He was that for 10 years or something. So obviously the stutter could be controlled. That's
like Mel Tillis, though. Mel Tillis stuttered when he talked, but not when he sang.
When he sang, but John did it when he talked. He could be an announcer, but he can't.
Maybe he stuttered off script, but if we gave him the script, he wouldn't stutter.
Okay, I'm peeing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So it's something he could, if he knew in advance, he didn't have to stutter. But if it was spontaneous, he could stutter.
That breaks down in the press conference stuff that he used to do. By the way, we can get press credentials through Media Guild. So let's start working on something like that. We need to go to some press conferences. Don't you think?
I will go to DC to try to get into the room with only once though, because I'm pretty sure once they call on me, that'll be the last time. So it had to be a doozy.
Yeah. And be ready with the most offensive thing that you could say to a Trumper. Why somebody doesn't say, do you ever get tired of being a bullshit artist? Do you ever get tired of just straight on fucking
that was going to be my first question. As I was going to say to her, as a DEI hire, do you ever get tired of just the constant bullshit that you have to shovel out all the time?
Yeah. But apparently the answer to that is no. But it would just next question, whatever, and just try to get ready and have you muscled out of the room, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. All right, so we'll end it here. You guys have a great weekend. Apparently, none of you guys are performing. I don't think I'm performing this weekend either. I was gonna be.
I have a gig in February. I have a gig in March, and I have a gig in April.
Wow.
They're higher quality gigs. They're just less gigs.
One per month.
And Tuesday, I'll be in Point Pleasant, New Jersey at Uncle Vinny's. That show starts at 7.
Do you know who's the headliner that night, or are you the headliner?
No, I am not the headliner. I'd have to look it up again to see who. I forget who it is. I'll be able to tell you on Monday.
All right, cool. All right, you guys have a great weekend. We start a new month and hopefully a new thing tomorrow. And I'm excited to say goodbye to January. Get the fuck out of here, January. Steven.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget to turn on your radio.
Finish inside me. Finish inside me. That's what I call schlong division.
You must be the Monopoly guy.
Finish inside me.
me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me